30.
Is that how this works?
What? I remind you that we're on in 30.
Well,
it's
a lot of communication for us.
Yesterday you were a little startled. You were like, "Oh, we're starting." Just making sure. Now we're on in 10.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? It's not just the first Tuesday of the month. It's the first day of the month. What else is it, Mark?
The Ides of March today, right?
And
Fat Tuesday, baby.
Hot damn. We are cooking with heat, ladies and gentlemen. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us.
That's how you start a show.
Yeah.
Boisterous, how the heck are you? We got a Fat Tuesday on top of everything. One of Miller and Moulton's favorite holidays. The reason I believe we're doing a show together.
So this is Mark's story, and he's sticking to it. 16 years ago now?
16 years ago.
Was it? So Mark's in the mornings. I'm in the afternoons on the ESPN affiliate in Southwest Florida. And we're both selling. So Mark's coming in the morning doing 3 hours, and then he's hitting the streets. I'm hitting the streets, racing back to the station around, 2:30 in the afternoon, jumping on the air, doing 3-4 hours.
4? Were you doing 4 then?
Yeah, I think you were doing 3 and I was doing 4. Right. They were long days. It was 2 full-time jobs in one. And at least that's how we saw it.
Management thought it was 2 part-time jobs that we were bad at both.
Right. And we were loafing. Right. That's how they saw it. So, we're doing our thing for like a year. Because Mark had been with the station for a year. I had been with it for about 5 or 6 by that point. And I'm doing a show, what have you. Mark's driving around listening, makes a beeline for the station, shows up in studio and just basically says to the producer, John, get out of the way. I want to talk to David.
Yeah, I mean, it was Fat Tuesday, and David was doing a theme show on your favorite fat athlete.
Right. Mickey Lolich.
Boog Powell.
Right.
Those type of guys.
Yeah.
And so I'm having a ball listening. And I came in at the end of my day and I said to John, who was David's producer, I rattled off 3. And actually, John was, sit down. And I'm like, are you sure? Because one of the things you don't do in this business is invade another guy's microphone.
Right. It's
just not done. So I came in, it was a break to John, and I said, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. And I'm laughing, and we're laughing back. But he's like, sit down. I'm like, no. He says, sit down. David was on location.
Right. At Pinchers, who sponsors Pat Kerwin's weekly appearances.
And you and I did an hour together that I thought was hysterical.
Right. On fat athletes.
Right. And we were laughing, cutting up, having a big time. And it wasn't too long after that in which you grabbed me outside the building and said, we're working too hard. We need to make this easier.
Yeah. It just, why are we have very little resources at the station. Why don't we just combine our resources and, do one, better than average show?
Right. At that time, ESPN had a pretty popular morning show. So we were going to let that run.
Right. And a pretty popular midday show, too.
Right.
I mean, things were very different. But boom.
Damn good point. Now we don't know what they've got.
Neither do they.
But on Fat Tuesday, that was at least in my head why David and I could work together. His reasons are completely different than mine. But to me, Fat Tuesday was the start of what became Miller and Moulton.
And I always thought we could work together because when Mark was working for the local hockey team and I would go as a fan or I would, be there as a member of the media and then return after the game because we would all sit in the bar in the arena and we'd have a couple drinks and what have you on a Saturday night. And we always just got along while disagreeing on most everything. And I remember thinking, wow, we could do a show together. Never thinking that actually would happen. So Fat Tuesday, it's a special moment here.
And we're both fat.
You're not fat. All right. There are times where you're beginning to work at it, though. But then you usually stop and you begin to work at it going the other way. And so we've got that little, you got what's an accordion? You're right now, to me, you're a beefy accordion. All right. I have vaulted. Oh, well, I'm fat. I vaulted over beefy, I don't know, 20 years ago. I mean, at least 15.
Fair enough. I know what I'd like the gut to be, and it's a lot bigger than I'd like it to be.
Yeah, by the way, there's a good chance that's never going to happen again.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
But so Klecko asks, was a fat wallet lost on Fat Tuesday? You know, that's funny. It's over 3 years since the wallet was lost.
I've lost a wallet since then.
In fact, actually, this month it's 4 years.
Right. And I've lost a wallet since then.
Correct.
And no one remembers any part of my wallet being lost.
You know why? Because your wallet got returned.
No.
I thought the guy grabbed it and walked in and handed it to
That's
you.
one of the few times that I lost it. I actually went down for the count because we talked about it on the show, and I'd lost a wallet. Yeah. I mean, I'm operating with that thing now.
Oh, wow. You're a real man there.
With the
if you could
the fake money clip?
Right. But if you could turn that clip into a rubber band, didn't we define that's like the definition of cool? Either a money clip, not a fake clip like the one you have, either a real money clip or the guy who just reaches into his front right pocket, all right, and he's got his money wadded up with a rubber band.
Right.
And
I mean, there's a bunch of credit cards there to make that look better than it is. It's not that good.
And then you peel those bills off and go on with your day. That's when you know that, you know, you've really made it. We're not there yet.
Not even close.
No, not even close. They only went to bed a couple hours ago. I mean, they actually, Mark, put in a day.
Right. So much so that they extended the deadline. I was wrong, David. I was wrong. Because I thought by now we were
right.
By the time we walked in this morning, I thought they were so angry at one another over the weekend and yesterday, and meetings were going so terribly.
Well, there was a time there yesterday when it did look like it was going to be Armageddon. Apparently, they right before they broke for lunch, the owners went with a hardline position in which somebody from the owners group said, "Hey, we don't mind missing a month, just so you know," which totally infuriated the players. And I guess there was a moment there where it could have just gone off the rails. But, Mark, cooler heads prevailed.
And that's good. So now they've extended the deadline to tonight.
Let's see. What is it here? Like 5 o'clock?
I believe so.
Yeah, 5 o'clock today, I think. And, I mean, they didn't get to bed. They stopped negotiating at like 2:30 in the morning. So, first off, I mean, let's face it. Yesterday, you knew it was a serious day, Mark. They actually started talks in the morning.
Yeah, they started before lunch.
Right, 10 a.m.
Right.
They actually, and when they had not met before 1 in the afternoon throughout this entire process, you're like, oh, wow. So we're going to take it seriously today, huh? Way to go, boys.
And 10 a.m., by the way, too.
Right, 10 a.m.
And before lunch, we nearly had Armageddon. So apparently, one thing we know about baseball, David, they are not morning people.
Well, that's true. Bunch of night games.
Right.
Guys go out afterwards.
They couldn't even handle a
in.
day-night doubleheader, David.
No, they could not. But they went extra innings, Mark, last night. We're sticking with the analogies. They went deep into the good night. That bullpen has been used up. They got to call up guys from AAA this morning.
Either that or they each go with their horse today and get this done.
Well, apparently, most of the owners are gone, which is a good thing. Because let's face it, it's not like players like any of them. It's not like the owners like any of the players either. It's a very healthy relationship we have going on in this sport. You wonder if this deal's supposedly going to be for about 4 or 5 years. You would like to hope that during that 4 or 5 years, whenever it is they come to a deal, that they could actually start to work on repairing this relationship. I mean, they are in this together, right?
They have to work on fixing the game before they repair the relationship. Or is it the other way around?
No, you've got it right. This is the business part of it. And then All right. And that's going to be unpleasant. And I will say, like, I blame the owners for what's going on now far more than the players. But I will blame the players once this is done far more than the commissioner. The commissioner wants to try to fix the game. And the players are very resistant to any and all changes.
Well, it goes back to Madden talking about missing the playoffs for the first time and watching a playoff game going, wow, our product needs help.
And before that, it was Mattingly.
Before that, he had no idea because
Right.
he was been in the games and when you're in the moment.
Right.
And, you and I had talked about it going back to my time with the minor league hockey team. When you're in the bubble,
Right.
whatever it is that you do for a living, that's the most important thing in your world. If you ever change jobs, change careers, you'll find that that bubble you were in is not as important as you once thought it was. And Madden found that out. He got outside the bubble and
Right.
went, wow, this
Damn.
product's not nearly what I thought it
These
was.
games are boring.
They last a long time. No blame.
I found myself flipping around the channels. Get in line there, Joe. Get in line. Jeff in Iowa in our Twitch chat room, I think he summed it up. Still can't believe where they're holding the talks. You've got the Versailles Treaty, the Dayton Accords, the Oslo Agreement, Roger Dean Chevrolet Stadium. So where did the negotiations go down? At Roger Dean, baby. I don't know why I just went all
Pull
country.
drag
Dent it in.
or push that old car in. And we'll give you a baseball player.
If you can get it to our showroom, we'll give you $1,000 right here at Roger Dean Chevrolet. I don't know why. I think it's because like 20 years ago, the market that we're in, the first advertising that I ever saw for the Roger Dean Chevrolet that was in Southwest Florida, it was a country guy that did it. And I don't know if he was a singer
I think it's
or
the
just,
Dean, Roger Dean.
just like Jimmy Dean.
Right.
So you go there. We'll give you $1,000 and some sausage.
Ooh.
Don't
Sausage or bacon? Bacon all day. I mean,
see. When I think Jimmy Dean, I think sausage.
no. I'm just saying right now, if I could give you bacon or sausage, what would you go with?
Oh, bacon all day, every day.
Tell you what, though, I served up some of those thick Publix Italian sausages. Might change your mind.
No,
I'm with Mark on this one.
no, all day.
Well,
All day.
not all day.
You
I
can
love
only do one or the other all day.
sausage.
Bacon.
Just depends on the day for me. I couldn't give up one or the other.
Is
I
that gonna
love
be our
them.
poll question?
No, bacon would win going away. Better breakfast meat, bacon, ham, sausage. Bacon wins every time.
You sure about that?
Yes.
I
I
still
am.
like it as a poll question. It's
I could be running Fat Tuesday questions for the next 3 hours.
I will say, Felipe,
You've got me in my wheelhouse.
He's the master. You know, he's the dean on Roger Dean Chevrolet Day.
And Jimmy Dean sausage.
It's true. This is Mark's holiday right here. You wouldn't think it. You're much too skinny to think that this is your holiday, but it is.
I'm already thinking what I want to eat right now.
At 14 minutes past the hour. Hope you've had a good breakfast. Fat Tuesday. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Question about. Well, remember, a secondary topic on this show besides sports is food.
You really?
So
We've been doing this for 15 years.
Yeah.
I thank you for that, Felipe.
That
Thank you.
the reason I say that is because I think it
Because you needed to talk.
no, it justifies our poll question. Let's
Philly, you're a beauty. You
Thanks.
are a beauty.
Thank you.
What did he just do?
He just started talking because he these commercial breaks.
Oh yeah, no, he
if
thinks
he
it's his
doesn't-
time.
If he doesn't
Right.
talk about something,
I'm
that's-
allowed to think out loud during the commercial.
Says who?
Really? Okay. Fine.
Yeah,
Well, no,
that's a
it's
great.
just
I
a
mean, that is a
question.
great point that
I-
David makes.
I do think that this is an assumption on your part.
I know it is.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of it is humorous and entertaining.
No, Canada Relief. I have not had McDonald's, and I'm not joking. I honestly could not tell you the last time that I had McDonald's.
Me neither.
It's been
This
easily
week.
5 years.
Let's see.
I had a McDonald's breakfast in Palm Beach 5-6 years ago. I remember
Sunday. I went Sunday.
What'd you get?
A McDouble and a McChicken.
Oh, you know that's
Yeah, it's
There-
not good for you.
there's a vulgar name for that.
I just
combo.
can't eat them anymore. It makes me
No,
it
I
makes me
understand.
ill.
That's good for you. That's fantastic. Yeah, I was going to spend
No,
all
they're not.
day.
Their fries suck. McDonald's fries are the most
Well-
overrated thing on planet Earth. They used to be good. No. They've completely changed their oil. They are not the same fries of my youth. They are not. Five Guys fries are 40 times better than McDonald's fries. It ain't close. That's when I quit eating it. When I had a McDonald's French fry and it tasted like complete dung.
You know what fries taste like? Old McDonald's French fries, Whataburger fries. I love Whataburger. Whataburger's so good.
According to the internet here, I think there's a Roger Dean Chevrolet in Cape Coral. Still.
Okay.
Oh,
Yep, on Pine Island Road.
All right.
McDonald's has the hash browns though. Their hash browns are good. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a frozen piece of potato. That's
I
not
don't-
good. That's not even a hash brown.
it's obviously
it's
not-
even a hash brown.
I'm not saying
What in the hell is going on around
I'm
here?
not saying quality overall.
You just said it's good.
Yeah,
Remember-
in fast food terms.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, food snob over here. Okay, this is where it comes out, right here.
Fat Tuesday.
Fries. We're gonna go fries. Whole question.
Have you tried Wendy's new fries?
I have not, because
I
I've
have
not
not.
tried Wendy's in about the same amount of time I've not tried McDonald's or Burger King
They're really
or
good.
any fast food crap.
Well, I can tell you.
Chick-fil-A is the only thing I'll eat.
I can tell you it's been at least 6 years since Mark's had Wendy's, is my guess, because that's the end of his first act here. My end was 6 months later.
You know what, Rick? I'm with you. The Arby curly fry is a good fry in my memory banks.
I tried Arby's for the first time in my life last week.
What'd you go with?
So I went with the sliders because my friend told me to try them. So I got a chicken slider and then 2 roast beef sliders.
Okay.
Beef and cheddar.
Yeah, I'm a beef and cheddar guy, but I don't know if I can
Yeah.
do that sauce with the French dressing that's on it anymore.
And then I got curly fries. And the curly fries were really good. I like them.
Ooh, Cavanaugh. I don't want to say it's fighting words because you could argue Chick-fil-A is overrated because there's always a line from hell there and it is just fast food, but it is the best fast food there is, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
but regardless of the line, it's 5 minutes. Tops. They're good.
They should run just about everything in our
Well,
country.
that was the joke, right? At the beginning of
pandemic,
the
yep.
pandemic with the COVID and the what have you. And we're like, well, if we can get Chick-fil-A to run these lines.
That's a foul. Wow. That sure looked like a foul.
I mean, when he was grabbing him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought he got his arm.
They call that
That's
a block.
They called that a block. I mean, it looked like his hand moved directly 5 inches to the right after he shot that. So
Wow.
But-
What do I know? Pretty much.
Now, RCB, I think you hit on it, though. We had this discussion yesterday. What's better, Chick-fil-A, breakfast or lunch? These two contend breakfast.
breakfast.
I've never done Chick-fil-A breakfast.
What? Oh,
It's on you.
man. That's on you, man. You can-
They used to
understand.
have a spicy chicken burrito that they don't have anymore that I loved.
What?
It's not on the menu anymore.
Ooh.
I've been told you can order it.
We're back in 3 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. On Fat Tuesday, we're going to be talking about food a lot today. We've got 4 guests on the show, though, so we are going to talk sports. No, really, we are. But we're just warning you right now. We're going to make you hungry, so you probably should eat sooner rather than later, so that this show doesn't just torture you.
It's going to torture me. Because we didn't tape any of these interviews, which means I can't drive somewhere and get breakfast in a 15-minute span.
That's true. I mean, if there's one that you don't want to partake in and you want me to do it while you go on the run, just make sure you pick me up a little something.
Are you kidding me? It's way too good of a show today. Ryan Spaeder's going to join us, talk a little baseball, a little Jeter, Chad Forbes, a little combine, Shelby Mast, a little bracketology. And our buddy Coach Fly in the bonus hour, in the local hour. We're going to talk a little A-Sun tournament with Coach Fly. That's a pretty darn good show. I wouldn't want to miss any of that.
Well, I'm glad you're going to stick around for it.
Besides, I even like NASCAR guests now, so where the hell would I go?
Miller and Moulton on this fine Tuesday. It is March. And so, yes, that officially means madness, although it did get underway, and that is the Northeast Conference.
Okay.
Central Connecticut and Fairleigh Dickinson, or as those of us from Jersey call it, fairly ridiculous. So Central Connecticut with the 1-point win. That is one thing. You could not even be in the college hoops. I am telling you, keep track of how many of these conference tournament games are decided by 3 points or less.
Fairleigh Dickinson was a 4.5-point favorite last night, which means that we have an underdog with a win and a cover.
Speaking of which, the makeup, what was that? Was that Towson State and Delaware?
Right.
And Delaware started. There was 18 and a half minutes left in the game last night when they resumed it at Towson. It was for first place in the Colonial, I believe, and Delaware up 9 at the time they resumed it. Towson ended up winning by 12. They whacked the Hens. Just took it to them.
For us, those are the little nuggets in life that we love. The fact that there was a basketball game that was being restarted after however many days it was, and small conference tournament play kicked off last night. Because for David and I now, the amount of time that we will spend watching the association and the NHL over the course of the next 10 days is very little. It is conference tournament time. And
absolutely love it. This is the time in which I'm searching ESPNU, CBS Sportsnet, FS2. I am watching every nook and cranny tournament and game that you can possibly imagine.
Who's got a couple of veteran guards that they're going to take to the
Right.
tournament that might be able to steal me a victory?
Yep. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, Coach Moulton and NC Central, you better watch them. Oh, yeah. I absolutely love these 2 weeks, particularly this week. Next week, for the most part, is all the big boys. And, yeah, there's a couple on the bubble, and they could go on a run, whatever. But this week is lose and you're out. You're done. And for 98% of the seniors that you're watching, this is the last time they ever lace them up. And they lay it on the line this week. I love this week.
Absolutely love it. And next week too, because there's still some of those mid-major conferences where you have some of that carry to next week. But for David and I, the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12 doesn't do it the way that the small conference tournament does it for us over the course of the next 7 to 10 days.
Now, last year's Big East tournament, Georgetown, who had no hope of making the tournament, but they win 4-4 and they win the Big East title and they go. Now, that's something that you and I can jump on board. Speaking of Georgetown, there are 2 polarizing in their opposite stories going on right now in college basketball. Just mentioned Georgetown went on the run last year, won the Big East tournament, went to the NCAA tournament. Yeah. They're 0 for the Big East this year. I think they're 0-17 in conference play. They have 2 more conference games left. They're both on the road, both against tournament teams. They're expected to lose them. They will go winless in all likelihood in conference play this year Patrick Ewing's going to get fired. They won the Big East tournament last year. They're going to go 0-18 or 0-20, whatever it is in Big East play this year. Oregon State made the Elite Eight last year. Remember, the Pac-12 had 3 Elite Eight teams last year. UCLA, USC, and Oregon State. Houston beat them in the region final to go to the Final Four. So they go to the Elite Eight. Coach gets a 6-year contract extension.
That's how that works, David.
Right. Mm-hmm. They've played 28 games this year. Would you care to guess how many of them they have won?
Is it like 12?
Lower.
8?
Lower.
6?
Lower.
No.
Yeah, 28 games. 28 games. Lower than 6.
4?
Lower.
No, it's not.
They're 3-25.
You know how hard that is to do?
They went to the Elite Eight last year. They gave the coach a 6-year contract extension. Yes, 3-25.
But I bet they've lost a lot of close ones.
Oh, they blew a double-digit halftime lead last night. Lost at home in overtime. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. They lost in double overtime to USC last week. They're 3-25. They went to the Elite Eight. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. I mean, this isn't, 10-21.
Want to get away?
Oh, my goodness. So
who do you think is getting more heat at Oregon State, the coach or the AD for signing him to the extension?
Right. I mean, the coach is like, hey, you want to fire me?
Go right
Knock
ahead.
yourself out, baby. This thing's fully guaranteed. Yeah. Uh-huh. I don't want to say year to year in college basketball can be volatile or anything, but there's a couple of examples. So Shelby Mast in a couple hours, we'll do a little bracketology. And in the bonus hour, we'll talk with the head coach of FGCU. They begin their conference tournament play tonight.
We'll come up with a poll question. The only thing I have so far is bacon or sausage, and I know how well bacon will do in that, so I need a better poll question.
Not necessarily. I mean, what about the other one that you wanted? It was like bacon, ham.
Yeah,
or...
better breakfast meat, bacon, sausage, or ham.
Right.
Then I'm gonna have the Philly people going, what about scrapple? Isn't that what's that called? Isn't that stuff called what's that godforsaken stuff that they eat?
It's not spam, is it?
No. But you got the Taylor pork roll, and then you got like
Scrapple?
Scrapple, right?
Right. I
Yeah.
think it's scrapple. Right. Not to be confused with
Scrabble.
triple bonus points.
Right, exactly. Although it sounds like it'd be a pretty good word to put out there. 2 P's and all.
And if you get them in the right, anyway. Miller and Moulton. A lot happened yesterday in the sports world. A lot of football news from yesterday also, including little scheduling nuggets. We love our scheduling. We always have on this show, but we have found out over the years that the fans kind of get into it as well. Wait, who are we playing? Where are we playing them? Has the schedule come out yet?
Everybody loves the schedule game 1. But you are right. The nuggets that pop out because it looks as if the Bucks will have a home game in Germany.
Mm-hmm. They will play the first ever game in Germany.
And the Bucks had a pretty good home schedule. So one of those games obviously goes away.
And the Green Bay Packers, who have pleaded with the NFL from the beginning of the international series, please do not take one of our home games. Please. These home games are so precious to us and the local economy. And please, no, we will gladly be the road team, but do not take one of our home games. And the NFL politely saying, yeah, everybody is eventually going to lose a home game to overseas. That's how it works, guys. Well, the bill came in for the Packers, and they are losing a home game, and it is moving from Lambeau to London.
By the way, if you're the Bucks, wouldn't you? And I know you never want to lose a division game, but they got the Packers, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Seahawks, and the Rams as their non-division games. Can you schedule Carolina and Germany for me, please?
Yeah, really.
If I'm a season ticket holder, can you do anything about any of the division games and make sure it's one of those?
In fact, the Buck season ticket holder might be like, hey, the way the Saints have owned us the last couple of years, schedule that game. I don't want to see them lose. They're going to lose. I at least want them to be across the pond. But yeah.
But I mean, Stafford, Russ, Lamar Jackson, Burrow, Mahomes, and, maybe Aaron Rodgers.
Maybe. By the way, what's he waiting on? I mean, come on. Like you really don't know what you're doing. And speaking of the Packers, did you see they had to release a little promotional thing? Because obviously the NFL gave them a heads up. And so they put together something for social media and like an online poster and that sort of deal. Right. No Rodgers on the poster. Mm-hmm.
They don't want to upset him.
No. That actually might upset him. It's like, well, wait a minute. You getting rid of me? I mean, at least they didn't put Jordan Love on it.
Well, there you go. That's the key.
But don't you have to at least put him on the poster, but then have a revisionist one ready to go?
I think if you were smart in the Packers, since Rodgers has been so cryptic, I'd have put them both on the poster.
Come to think of it, I don't think Devontae's on the poster either, but technically he is a free agent. So Miller and Moulton, 28 minutes before the hour. The starting five is next. Thanks so much for being with us. Fat Tuesday, the Ides of March, the 1st of March, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I don't remember Ron Lee, but I remember John Drew on those bad Hawks teams.
Canadian Relief, this is exactly why poll questions sometimes annoy me. Because if I go ham, bacon, and sausage, well, steak, someone, what about scrapple? What about spam? What about this? What about that? That's what we do. That's what we do.
How's that go again?
What about this? What about that? What about scrapple? What about spam? What about steak?
What are you, Bruce Willis in The Thing with the lighter? I have a few laughs. Well, Paul, by the 80s, Fratello, he started first Hubie, then Fratello. I mean, they started to turn it around in the 80s. They couldn't get much done in the playoffs, but they were a decent regular season team. That's in. Up. If it's a regular season, Mitch Marner must be scoring.
There could be 47 poll questions in this show today. I'm not asking permission. I'm just typing them when I feel them.
Who the hell were on those 70s Hawks teams besides like Pistol Pete?
Tree Rollins. No, Pistol Pete on the Hawks?
He played for the Hawks for a little bit.
Hawks for
Before the Celtics, after the Jazz, he
After
did
the
Hawks.
Jazz.
Then
after the Jazz. Yeah.
Tree Rollins,
That's right,
Doc
Tree Rollins.
Rivers.
Yeah. Man, wasn't Tree Rollins in the NBA for like 70 years?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think Doc was the early 80s. But John Drew was the first Atlanta Hawk I remember. Dominique arrived, I believe it was 83.
Why did the Jazz even move out of New Orleans? It just made sense.
Nobody went to the games.
But like
18 seasons, by the way,
what?
for Tree.
Nice.
What was interesting is, much like the Minneapolis Lakers moved, which made sense, land of 10,000 lakes, Minnesota, but they moved to Los Angeles and they remain the Lakers. The Jazz go to Utah, they remain the Jazz.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Because when you think Utah,
Right, you think
Yeah.
even now,
You
is there a jazz club in Salt Lake City?
You don't think Jazz. Oh, Lou Hudson. Yes.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton brought to you in part by Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for all of your vehicles. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, make sure you only buy Napa Filters. You can go to the store, you can order them online. Napa Filters. Proud sponsors of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. A lot to kick around, so let's get to it. Time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
All right, Mark, got a lot going on here. Feel free to interrupt at any time. Major League Baseball negotiated till 2:30 this morning. They made progress enough to not cancel any regular season games yet. The deadline's been extended some 17 hours. 5 o'clock today now is the new deadline. Negotiations expected to resume late morning. Still distance between the sides on minimum salary, CBT, the number of playoff teams. The players are holding firm at 12. Right now, Mark, there are 2 proposals on the table. One, if, hey, you give us 14 teams, we'll give you this for minimum salary, this for CBT. But if you're only going to give us 12, then we're only going to give you this for minimum salary and this for CBT.
just curious, what would you rather see? 12 or 14?
12.
Me also. I don't like the whole idea of there being buys. I'd rather just get at it. And they may still do buys with 12. They may give 1 and 2 buy of some sort.
Well, first off, if I'm the players, here's why I can't give them 14 now. Then what are you going to give them in 4 or 5 years? What do you have to give them?
Why do you have to give them? How many teams do we need to make the damn playoffs?
Well, I mean, NBA and NHL have 32.
But why does baseball? Okay.
Well, money.
I understand, but they're going up in teams. They're going to get more money.
Right. But I'm saying if you're the players, if you give the owners 14, you're not going to, because I don't think baseball is going to go to 16 playoff teams. Certainly not before they add 2 more teams and get 32 teams.
Right.
I mean, it goes against everything baseball's ever been about. It's been the toughest postseason to make. And now what? You're going to become the easiest postseason to make? I mean, there were players on Twitter yesterday mocking what the sport's about to become, just going from 10 to 12. Jock Peterson said, oh, why don't we just have 30 playoff teams and give participation trophies? That's just going from 10 to 12. But I would hold back this time around because in theory, 4 or 5 years, we're going to have to do this again. And I want to have a carrot to entice the owners to give us more stuff with. If I give them really the biggest thing they want, and I give it to them in 2022, what do I have in 2026 or 27 to give them?
Bubkas.
Spring training games have been canceled through technically March 8th, which is a week from today. I mean, how laughable is that? Like, if they come to an agreement this afternoon, do we really think we're going to have spring training games in
before
8 days?
March 15th?
Yeah. I mean, Derek Jeter resigned as CEO of the Miami Marlins right around the time that negotiations were beginning yesterday afternoon. It was a bit ironic because, as we've detailed, they're at Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, home of the Cardinals and Marlins. They're apparently doing all their talking on the Cardinals side of the complex. So it was the other side of the complex where the entire Marlins staff was being told of Jeter's resignation. He's also, I mean, he now has nothing to do with the team. He's no longer CEO, and he has no part of ownership.
Right. Gave up his 4% or whatever it is that he owned.
They paid him off. And so there you have it. Be curious to see if and where he shows up anywhere else. And everybody will mention the Yankees. I don't see that happening.
I think ESPN's more likely than the Yankees.
Ooh, I don't think he'll do it. But then again, you and I never thought Gretzky would do TNT, and he's getting rave reviews, by the way. NFL Hall of Fame game was announced.
And just quickly, David, and I know Jeter's baseball, but with the money they are now throwing at analysts to, what McVay was getting offered, and I know that that's football, and I know it's apples and oranges, but if you're trying to make baseball work, we just went over this thing the other day on this show. Who's the star in baseball? And people are texting Derek Jeter.
Right. Whose last game was in 2014.
Right.
Raiders and Jags will be the Hall of Fame game on August 4th in Canton. It makes sense for a bunch of reasons. First off, Cliff Branch, longtime Raider, and Richard Seymour, who played 4 of his years in the league with the Raiders, are going into the Hall of Fame. But also Tony Baselli, first ever Jaguar, and Leroy Butler, who's from Jacksonville. So those 4 going into the Hall, Raiders, Jags, but also the stadium in Canton, Ohio, where the Hall of Fame game is played. It's where Josh McDaniel played his high school football.
Oh, wow.
And he's now the new coach of the Raiders.
That's kind of cool.
So there's a lot of homecomings associated with this game, Hall of Fame game on August 4th. It was also announced the teams that will be playing overseas or internationally. The Bucks will play in Germany. The Packers, Saints, and Jags will all play a game in London. And the Arizona Cardinals will play a game in Mexico. Speaking of the Arizona Cardinals, did you catch the letter that was sent out by Kyler Murray's agent yesterday?
I caught the letter. I read the Cliff Notes because it was the longest letter that I've ever seen a player ever write.
Well, the agent released it
Right.
on behalf of his client. Now, you need to realize that Steve Keim is the general manager of the Arizona Cardinals. And Steve Keim is known for a few things, but one of them is he hates, with a capital Hates, hates for any part of negotiations to be made public. It's well known throughout the league. And it's well known if you're a player on the Arizona Cardinals. And so what does Kyler Murray and his agent do? They don't just go public. They put it on paper and release it. And it is a strange letter.
That's an accurate description.
I mean, he wants to be the franchise quarterback, but only if he gets paid the going rate. And once you do that, I'm all in. I'm committed to winning a Super Bowl. Nobody wants to win more than me.
As long as you pay me.
If I can get paid the going rate. Boy, that reign of Art Briles as offense coordinator at Grambling was really short-lived. He resigned yesterday. There's some dispute as to whether he was actually really hired. Like whether or not there were signatures and all that. So Hugh Jackson has tried now twice to get Art Briles hired.
Yes, he has.
And he's 0 for 2. And the Canadian Football League rejected him as well. I don't think Art Briles is going to be coaching. I don't think he should.
No, and Hugh Jackson better be thankful that he still is. Because of the way that this came down, I don't think he had any permission to hire him. I mean, he does as head coach have permission to hire whoever he wants, but when you make a controversial hire, you might want to pick the phone up and ask your boss first.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't realize that this is going to, at the very least, raise eyebrows, if not have people going, what the?
No, it's too late. I signed him. He's our coach. What?
College basketball, 4 ranked teams in action last night. They all won. Baylor, Texas Tech, UCLA, and Iowa. We told you yesterday about a makeup game to determine the top seed in the Colonial Tournament. Delaware had a 9-point lead early second half when they resumed the game yesterday. Towson ended up winning by 12. First round of the NAC. Yes, that's right. March Madness officially began on February 28th. Central Connecticut edged Fairleigh Dickinson 67-66.
Goes Dickinson.
Carolina needed overtime to beat Syracuse. It was a very entertaining game.
That's what I read.
88-79 Tar Heels.
I was embarrassed it was on ESPN last night.
Are you serious?
There wasn't anything else they could put on?
No, actually, there wasn't. I mean, I guess they could have put Baylor and Texas on. I think they did afterwards.
They did.
Bethune-Cookman a winner, FAMU a loser. By the way, the Gators gave Kelly Ray Finley the job.
Good.
Yesterday. Well, I mean, I will say they waited till she had a 3-game losing streak. I don't know. Maybe they were able to take a few dollars off the top. But finally, the interim coach who may win SEC Coach of the Year gets the job permanently. Women's rankings came out yesterday in the AP. FGCU, the highest ranked Florida team at 22. Florida falls to 23. NBA, Felipe. I know you are the self-appointed NBA guy on the show, but you may want to listen to the 2 old guys, all right, for the rest of the regular season. Because we did say that the Heat -4 was the play last night at home against Chicago, and you went, oh, DeMar DeRozan, top 3 for MVP, already scoring 30 a game.
So one thing, I have to shut up for the rest of the season.
No.
We're working on, once again, Felipe.
Oh, my
if you listen back to what was just said, no one ever told you to shut up.
Just listen.
What we said was
just
listen to the 2 old
just
guys.
Listen to
and the first thing you did was not listen.
Heat 112-99 over the Bulls. We said we're at the point of the season in which the contenders will pat the pretenders on the head and say, okay, now it's time to get serious. And the Heat did that last night to the Bulls. Orlando over Indiana by 16. Pacers playing back-to-back. Orlando still is the worst record in the league. Felipe's raising his hand. That's a sign of progress, Mark. What?
No, it was a cue.
Oh, that's a cue?
That's
Yeah,
a
well,
cue.
he doesn't raise his hand. He wouldn't
All right.
go as far.
Well,
You
no,
know,
we
the
told him to
producers on the
listen.
Dan Patrick Show do it, but why would Felipe?
Steve Nash's COVID. KD now going to return on Thursday for the Nets. They needed him last night. Toronto won in Brooklyn by 36. Hello. Game of the night was in Minnesota or in Cleveland. T-Wolves beat the Cavs 127-122. Performance of the night was in Memphis.
Seeming to be that way every time that young man laces him up, David.
Ja Morant with 52. Thank you very much. 52. Do you remember when the draft and Zion went 1 and everybody said to Memphis, oh, man, too bad you're number 2. Right.
Right.
Now people are going to be asking, hey, in the Ja Morant draft, where did everybody else go?
Shot 22 for 30 from the field.
52 points on 30 shots. 118-105, Memphis over San Antonio. Milwaukee beat Charlotte by 24. Sacramento beat OKC by 21. A lot of competitive games last night in the association. NHL, they said, no soup for you to Russia and Belarus. We're not doing anything with you guys anymore. But in all seriousness, with Russia, the NHL they do a lot of social and digital media deals, and hockey's pretty popular. They got games that are shown live. Yeah, they're ending all of it. They're ending their relationship with their Russia betting partner. They're taking their games off Russian internet. I mean, the NHL is costing themselves quite a few bucks here, but they are basically saying to Russia, you're dead to us from a business standpoint. They do have
better than other leagues are doing right now.
They do have Ovechkin,
Right.
remember, in the NHL.
Yes.
Okay. The IIHF suspended all business with Russia and Belarus, and you can't play international hockey basically for the next 2 years. Rest of this year and next year, they're out of all the tournaments. FIFA, by the way, Mark, got in on the act as well 1 day later. Remember, banning the uniforms and the anthem apparently wasn't enough. Imagine that. So they're right now, it looks like Russia's not going to be any part of the World Cup. Back to hockey for a minute. Toronto beat Washington 5-3. Jersey 7-2 over Vancouver. And Jake DeBrusk with 3 goals and an assist. The Bruins shut out the Kings 7-0. Zach Johnson, officially named Ryder Cup captain yesterday, 46 years old. It's interesting they went that young.
Well, the 51-year-old wasn't available.
Well, right. He's taking a pause. I don't know if he was going to be considered. I think the next guy in the 40s that might get it's Tiger.
If he wants it.
Remember, they'll be at home when he's 48.
I got you.
Right.
He'd want to be a playing captain, though, and you know that.
Yeah, I understand. Right now, he can't walk the course. I'm just saying. After Zach, I think Tiger's on the list. He'll have to say no. And that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
David, I did put the breakfast meat poll question up. There's one up on Fat Tuesday.
nice.
It's bacon, sausage, or ham. It's that easy. There's no Spam. There's no Scrapple. There's no Taylor ham. There's no Canadian bacon. There's no steak. I know steak and eggs, but steak's not a breakfast meat.
So in honor of Fat Tuesday,
That's number one.
We're going to do a Levitard today, are we?
Pretty good chance.
Mike Bianchi today.
Yeah.
All right. 1 hour down, 3 to go. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program
The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
See, there it is. Yes. Okay, music. A fresh, whole sausage. There's not much that tops that.
What?
That okay music just said that something I agree with. Nothing tops a fresh, whole sausage. So good. Although he does say bacon is more versatile, which may be true. I mean, you could put bacon on a cheeseburger, and it'll make it 10 times better.
I just end up having bacon the least of the three. That's why I associate it with breakfast more. I mean, because I'm not a huge bacon cheeseburger guy. I'm just,
Really?
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's fine, but I like my cheeseburgers to be cheeseburgers.
I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I can do something a little funky.
Yeah.
But I don't like bacon on my
No.
I'm not a bacon on my cheeseburger guy.
But I get what you're saying. I'm not going to get bacon on my cheeseburger every
No.
time, but
That's in Sanibel. That's too far away.
See, Canada Relief, that's what we were talking about. We gave you three choices. All right, that's it.
it's
That's
final.
It. All right, that we understand there are 83 possibilities. We get that.
Klecko said something in the Twitch chat earlier that caught my attention. He said, John Morant may be a reason why I watch NBA games. He's really good.
Tell you what, I hope they give the Mountain West a bunch of teams. I really do.
Which teams, for example?
Well, like San Diego State, who went to Wyoming last night and won. I want to see Wyoming, San Diego State, Colorado State. I want them all in. Yeah.
The Ides of March is the 15th. I was wrong. For some reason I thought it was the 1st.
Oh, well.
Yeah, well, exactly. Shakespeare wasn't my strong point.
Yeah, I did see the news about the new Metro Dash Suburban Division. At least that's how I took it. Those that I saw on Twitter yesterday were saying that what they fear is that the top players in suburban teams and conferences will transfer to play on the best metro teams.
20 seconds.
All right, just quickly, okay, music. I would take a different approach than that. I think sausage is more versatile. You've got your Polish, your Italian, you've got your link, you got your patty, where bacon's just bacon. And the problem is, bacon, unless cooked perfectly, can be screwed up.
That's a good point.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the top of the 7 o'clock hour, and we thank you for joining us on this first day of March. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. You can text the show. If you never have before, you need to send an introductory text. It's a greeting, and we appreciate it. FSN Radio, all one word, to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000. And we encourage you to watch, listen and watch, partake on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. You can see us every morning. You can comment in the chat room, and you can take in the show in a very interactive way. The commercial breaks are, well, for the most part, entertaining, if we do say so ourselves.
I think the last commercial break really hit the show up because we asked a lot of questions. Someone asked, the Florida high school football is changing divisions, doing something a little bit different. So David gives an answer of what he thought, what was going on. They're going back and forth. I let them finish and then broke down my breakdown of bacon and sausage.
Right. And that's usually how we do it. One sports, one non-sports.
But I'm now trying to figure out, because I was looking for Fat Tuesday food, and you think of all the, the New Orleans food, whether it's an etouffee or a gumbo or something like that. But have you ever lived anywhere that's been predominantly Polish or a big Polish section?
Yeah, Northeast Pennsylvania, where I went to college. Absolutely.
Have you ever had a punchki?
Oh, yeah.
Because apparently that's like the Polish Fat Tuesday thing.
Yep.
It's a deep fried, sweet, donut-y type thing,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Is that
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Huh.
I married a little Polish girl from northeastern Pennsylvania, my college sweetheart. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you've had a punchki.
Huh. Yeah.
And from the sounds of it,
And-
you're almost grunting over there that you'd recommend them.
Well, I mean, Mark, describe it once again.
It's a fried, not to be confused
Okay, well,
with a donut.
Well, stop. Okay.
A deep fried sweet treat.
Okay. Right. And the problem is
No,
what
no,
again?
no. I've never had one. It was literally when I Googled Fat Tuesday food, before anything from Louisiana came up, a punchki came up.
Mark, you could basically just live on punchkis and pierogies.
It sounds heavenly to me because I love pierogies.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you wanted to go with the all Polish diet, you could just go punchki and pierogi, which sounds like it could be a band, a law firm, all right, but it can also be a diet. Well, what's your diet? Punchkis
Coming up
and
Tuesday on
pierogies.
Punchki and Pierogi.
Yes, there you go. Could be an afternoon show.
Either that or a sitcom.
From the streets of Warsaw, all right, now they've invaded Washington, D.C. It's Punchki and Pierogi, Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock on Fox.
Huh.
Yeah.
So I know of a couple of Polish markets. I might be going for a punchki today.
Go
Could be on the plans for the rest of the day.
Think what the description is. A fried sweet treat. Yeah, I think everybody should try it at least once. If you don't like it, well, that's okay. I'll take the grief for that one. Yeah, as Paul said in the Twitch chat room, you had me at fried.
All right, that's all. I wasn't trying to derail. I was just trying.
We're trying to contribute. I mean, it's Fat Tuesday after all. Experiment a little bit. Come on, some of you have been on a shape up since New Year's Day. Think about it. You did your Nutrisystem. All right. You've done your diet plans. You're exercising. You're doing good. Give yourself a cheat day.
Felipe, I know you're a good young Catholic boy, Catholic high school and all that stuff. And is there a Cuban Fat Tuesday dish? Was there something that you ate that you remember eating on Fat Tuesday before? I mean, because I know it's a big, obviously a big thing in New Orleans. It's a big thing in the Polish thing there. I don't know. I'm merely asking if there was something, or do you need to text mom and dad at some form of commercial break and find out for me?
Yeah, not anything specifically, more of just a ton of food.
There you go.
But
There-
this punchki thing looks really good.
See?
I've never seen this before.
Right, we're just trying to broaden your horizons here.
Thank you.
Later on in life, when you're talking to people, you're like, listen, I worked for these two fat middle-aged guys, but man, did they educate me about the world at large. TB Gator Boy in our Twitch chat room. I don't know what's so special about it. I'm fat every Tuesday. There you go. Now you're playing along at home. Miller and Moulton. Do you think, by the way, you could come this close to a deal? And they're not super close, but they're finally, the players and the owners, in the proverbial ballpark. You can definitely see a deal from here. Can you then, if you're the owners and the commissioner, at 5:00 today, just drop the hammer and be like, nope, sorry, we don't have a deal. Opening day in the first week of the season is lost. At which point you figure both sides would leave.
And the first week could be the first month.
Exactly.
And
I'm just wondering.
I don't know. I oversimplify everything, and you may overanalyze everything.
Totally. Right.
But yesterday at whatever time it was, around lunchtime, in which one of the owners apparently said, well, we're prepared to miss the first month.
Right.
And Armageddon nearly happened.
Yeah. Players nearly got up and left.
There's part of me that hopes deep down that another owner looked at him and said, what in the is the matter with you? When they left and went to lunch and before they came back, and that they told him, here's how we're going to start. You're not coming back to the meeting because there's nothing that you are bringing to the meeting that's helping us get to a resolution. You just threw gasoline on it, and we had no need. We didn't call for gasoline. We didn't need you to do that. There's part of me that wondered in that lunch break, David, if things got really simplistic and someone said, how about most of you just leave? And the three of us will go in because they don't like you, you, and you. And you don't like any of them. So let's remove some people from the room who, for whatever reason, aren't going to try to help this situation. And did somebody become the adult yesterday and say, if we don't get something done today, we could really jeopardize the future of this sport? I want to believe that somebody said that. I don't know if it's possible, David.
I actually believe the commissioner wants to make a deal. Now, he wants to make it 100% on the owner's terms. But I do believe the commissioner, and I don't like the commissioner. I don't think he's done a good job for the sport. But his ego's on the line here. I mean, he did 3 weeks ago hold a press conference in which he said, I've handled 5 negotiations. We've never missed a game. And if we missed one now, it would be disastrous for our sport. He said those words. And this is on him. Everybody then immediately said, okay, Rob, then this one's on you. And he stayed away until the last 48 hours. And then he came in. And I think he, along with his chief negotiator, are leaning hard on the owners going, we will push them as hard as we can. And we will push back as hard as we can. But we're going to have to make a deal. And I thought of something last night, and this may be foolish to bring up, but April 15th is not just tax day. April 15th is the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball. And Rachel Robinson is still alive. And God willing, she will be alive 6 weeks from now also. That's a big day for the sport. It's a big day for our country. It's a huge ass day for the sport. The Masters will have wrapped up the Sunday before. All right. To be cynical, the USFL doesn't kick off to the next day. I mean, they've got the sports world in this country. It's a Friday. They can have a week-long celebration, which will be their, second full week of games in theory. I mean, if I was behind the scenes, I would be saying, we got to be playing baseball on April 15th. I'm just telling you that right blanking now. You do whatever you want to do with these things. I mean, this whole week and miss a month. Yeah, we're not playing baseball on the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson. I mean, you want to talk about, you might as well just kill us now. I mean, why come back and play at this point? Except to cash checks. But you want to talk about losing that whole, baseball likes to wrap itself around the flag and the emotional connection that it has with Americans and fathers and sons and that whole deal. You got to be on the damn field that day. I mean, come on now.
Or you could look at it from that day and show how little they've cared about growing the sport in the black community, that it would be a perfect opportunity for them to miss that day because they've been negligent to that community for the past 30 years.
Certainly the last 20, absolutely. But that's what I would be saying behind closed doors. I'm like, listen,
it's a great point.
We got to be on the field on April 15th. I mean, you want to talk about bad optics. I mean, my goodness, if we're not on the field April 15th, then quite frankly, I mean, we don't have to be back till the All-Star game. I just think you can actually see a deal from here.
Well, the fact that there are a couple things out there that we're looking at, it's 14 with this number, it's 12 with this number, that there are actually proposals now that, at least from the way we've had this explained to us and the way we've tried to explain it to you, the areas that there have been difficulties, they are making headway. They are not where either side wants to be, but they are a long way from where they started just a couple of weeks ago. And I think that's progress.
Apparently, they're only $25,000 apart on the starting salary. They're $675,000 or $700,000. They're $20 million apart on CBT. It's like $220 to $240.
And one's going to correlate directly with the number of playoff teams that's in there.
Probably. Yeah.
And I think they know that. We all know that now.
And apparently the penalties now have been greatly reduced also. So, I mean, what do you say? You give us $700,000 for opening salary, and I'll go a little bit further with you on CBT instead of splitting the difference in half at $230. How about we started at, I don't know, $228? What do you say? And once again, I contend the players can get everything they want if they just say, you give us, they should give them the sheet. I said this last week. Here's the deal. We want A, B, C, D, E, and F. You give us all of that, we'll give you 14. And by the way, one no on the top part of the sheet, you don't get 14, you get 12. Do the math. You know how much that's worth to you. You've already got the deals negotiated with the networks. It's up to you there, big boys.
And it looks as if we're closer. Put it this way, yesterday I thought that they were going to announce the season being suspended. I really did. When they got through yesterday and negotiated late into this or early into this morning, I actually think they're going to get a deal done today.
Deadline's now 5:00 in case you missed it today. So it's been extended 17 hours because they negotiated till 2:30 a.m. And it looks as if there's a framework.
If not by 5, by 6, by 7, you know what I'm saying. But by the end of today, do you think there's a deal done? At least in principle.
Yeah, because the players want a deal done, and the commissioner's legacy is on the line. So I think that he'll lean on some owners if he has to. And I think the owners deep down are laughing that we're arguing over what to them is absolute peanuts in an $11 billion annual industry. I think the owners deep down are laughing.
Because they're winning. They're just trying to figure out by how much.
Right.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So 75th Jackie Robinson Day, correct?
No, it's 75 years on April 15th, 1947. 75 years ago is when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier.
Got it.
So it's the 75th anniversary of that moment.
Yeah, that's bad if they don't play a game on that.
First year, not very good.
I'm sorry, what?
I got the Steelers tickets. My mother-in-law, the tickets suck this year.
You mean the games?
Patriots, Jets, Saints, Bucks, Raiders.
Wow, not good. The two NFC games are terrible.
Just terrible.
Unless one of them gets a quarterback. I mean, if Brady had come, that would have been fine.
If Brady would have come, I might have gone to the game.
Wait, did they already release?
I really did not see him retiring.
You knew before the season was over who the teams were playing. And you would even know where. Like, whether you're playing them at home or away. All right, so everybody knows the 17 teams they're playing and where they're playing them. Okay, until yesterday when they announced 5 or 6 of the games are being moved internationally. What you don't know now is when.
Okay.
They haven't laid the schedule out for you.
But when do you first know of all 17 teams you're playing?
The day the season's over.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because because it goes first place first, second place second. Okay, in advance the North of the AFC is going to play the South of the NFC. So, yeah, as soon as the season's over, right, that night, the next day, it's like, well, this is who we're playing.
Ooh, Dolphins have a great schedule.
Ooh, tell me.
Browns and Steelers, Packers and Vikings, and then the Texans. That's probably the only bad one out of the 8. And then obviously their division.
But think about the intrigue involving the Texans. Yeah. It's our girl Nikki here. She won the Big 12 last night.
Did she?
It's her 12th straight, I think, Big 12 regular season title.
Love them to draw Florida in the first round and get her on.
Oh, I think she'll come on, period.
Yeah, I know, but it would be,
They could be a 1 seed. They're up to 5th in the country. They waited for her to come into the locker room and they, did the whole water bath for her when she came in.
Damn.
Friend of the show there. That's why we're talking about her.
Nikki Collins, the head coach of Baylor. She was an assistant at FGCU for 2 years, then took a job in the WNBA. We've stayed in touch with her, had her on the show.
Cool.
Big shoes to fill. How to replace Kim Mulkey.
See Kim Mulkey in talking yesterday basically said we're not even close to where we need to be at LSU. Like, just didn't sugarcoat anything. Underneath there was a video of it and, saying we haven't even arrived yet and blah, blah, blah. Last time somewhere Pat Sumlin would be proud.
I wanted to yell at ESPN yesterday. They had a crawl underneath when LSU beat Tennessee on Sunday, and they listed their record as like 6-1 against AP top 25. And it said in parenthesis, only lost to South Carolina. And I'm like, no, you lost to FGCU.
Wow.
A lot of good receivers in this draft, is there not?
There are.
50 seconds.
Yeah, there's probably going to be.
Don't know if there's I don't know. Like
there's a Michael Thomas.
Chase,
Right.
know, but
Hey, so remember how in the 2020, the original plans for the 2020 NFL draft was going to be in Vegas, and they were going to like do this whole extravagant thing where they'd take the person who got picked on a boat to the stage. Are they ever going to do that actually? Because
don't know the answer to that.
Like, where's the draft this year?
back in Vegas.
I don't know
either.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for joining us. Miller and Moulton brought to you in part by Napa. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for all of your vehicles. And if you have something that moves, they've got a filter for it. So for you do-it-yourselfers out there, only buy Napa Filters. You can go to the store. You can order online. And if need be, pick it up at the store. If you're worried about delivery, Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. And if you're in Southwest Florida, well, make sure you're waited on by the Napa Dream Team. John, Lisa, sons Justin and Kyle, they own all the locations. Go in, ask for them. Mention us.
Call them out by name. No, I mean not.
Hey, where's your name tag?
Where are their mic flags? That's all I want to know.
Right. That's what you should do. Go in, find John, and say, John, could you get Miller and Moulton their damn Napa mic flags so they'll shut up already?
David, as I thought with the Fat Tuesday poll question number 1, best breakfast meat, bacon running away with it. 68% of the vote. People do not like ham.
Really?
Ham with 4% of the vote.
They need to try Cuban ham.
Wow. I didn't realize there was an anti-ham.
Ham is definitely the redheaded stepchild of breakfast meats.
Huh.
No one goes with ham. And
why not?
It's a hell of a good question.
Thank you. I didn't think I was being out of line here. What's wrong with ham?
Ham with a little red eye gravy. It's a Nashville staple, David.
A little sweet ham? Come on now.
I know.
You can cut it up like in an omelet. You don't get ham in your omelet?
I don't typically.
Huh. I always do. Ham and cheese to me are the staples of an omelet. Everything else is
the only omelet my father ever ordered, and he was as milquetoast as ever there could be an eater. And David, I'm not surprised that ham and cheese is your go-to omelet.
Yeah.
And don't you dare put a vegetable in it.
Well, I mean,
not anywhere near the plate.
I mean, you could slice up some tomato if you'd like.
No onions?
No, I'm not a huge onions guy. I don't dislike onions, but you know what? The only thing I really like onions on? A cheesesteak.
Let's get to it here. Meat and cheese. Look at the man.
Yeah, right. Come on. Look at me.
What kind of toast? White toast.
Although I do love me some pumpernickel. You just can't get it most places. That's all. I'll go rye over white, though, all the time. Every day. 99 out of 100.
Look at that. Maybe I'll make you a loaf of rye bread this week.
Oh, man. That's just porn right there. Ryan Spaeder. Talk a little baseball coming up in about 15 minutes' time. Chad Forbes at the top of the hour. The combine gets underway today, baby. And, not everybody's going. The Rams, by the way, are not at the combine.
Do they have any draft picks?
Not till the 4th round. But, they got enough guys at the combine. They got 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round guys there. The Rams are not at the combine. I guess their feeling is what? Watch it on NFL Network. Hey, we'll work these guys out ourselves.
That is crazy.
I know. Isn't that nuts? GM and head coach not at the combine. Maybe some scouts are. But, Les Snead and, McVay there. Not at the combine.
There's 324 prospects at the combine.
Right. That's
and the
a
Rams
lot.
just aren't going to show.
Maybe they've got some scouts there. But, the decision makers, they're back at the office. McVay's got a wedding to plan.
And he's got to figure out which free agents he's going to sign.
And, he and his fiance's going, did you really turn down $100 million from Amazon?
You didn't have to work with that job but once a week.
You're 37. You can get back into coaching when you're 43.
Or not.
Right. You could do that whole year, that whole 11-year deal with Amazon and get back into coaching at 48. They'd pay you about $150 million.
So does that mean Herb Street's going to end up being the guy that Amazon gets?
I have no idea. Right now, they just need somebody to say yes.
Why do you think everybody's saying no to Amazon?
Because it's streaming.
Yeah, but it's obscene money.
Right, but it's streaming. Now, in McVay's case, I think it's just strictly he's not yet ready to give up coaching. I actually think, by the way, if they didn't win the Super Bowl, there were heavy rumors late in the regular season and into the postseason that McVay was burned out, that he was a Vermeil candidate, and he needed to take a break. If they didn't win the Super Bowl, I think there was a better chance of him not coming back if they came up short. Now I think it's hey, come on, coach, let's run it back. Donald and all of them, Stafford saying we can do this again. You recruited me. Don't be one and done. Plus, enough of his guys have now left and gotten head coaching jobs and offense coordinator jobs elsewhere. That offensive staff is completely different than what it was just 12 months ago. He's lost a bunch of guys.
Yes.
But I think the reason that Al Michaels is yet to sign his Amazon offer, you've got Aikman, you've got others that have been pursued by Amazon, is they don't know what the audience is going to be. Thursday Night Football did over 14 million on average. Monday Night Football.
You think it could do 2? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it could drop to 4.
Okay.
I think 14 could become 4.
Which would be massive streaming numbers.
It would. Yeah.
Would be record-setting streaming. It will be record-setting streaming numbers, whatever the numbers are.
We've talked about this. How are they going to do it at the sports bars? Which I understand don't factor into the ratings. But, come on now. If you want to become an accepted part of the American television sports experience, people have to go into their establishments and see you. I don't know. Is that going to be a problem just to have Thursday Night Football be at your favorite sports bar or not?
David, I believe it shouldn't be, 1, but 2, it would be up to the technology of the bar. It shouldn't be that hard.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good place to start.
But everybody has a DirecTV system. Bars pay a lot of money.
Right.
How they set up where, some bars are old school where they're walking around to every the Divey or sports bar, they're walking around to every television and they've got a DirecTV box. But a lot of the big boy bars have rooms where they set this all up. Well, in those rooms, I'm guessing that they have a streaming device now or can get one, but they weren't set up for it. So they will have to make adjustments. And Thursday Night Football, you would think this would be a little bit like before it went to network, that when NFL Network had stuff, okay, well, we got to go out tonight. When the Thursday Night Football was just on the NFL Network, people went to sports bars on Thursday night because it was the next tier of pricing.
And they didn't have it.
And a lot of people wouldn't have it. So they would go to the bar to watch NFL Network games. In theory, if you don't have Amazon Prime, you're going to go to the bar to someone's house that has it on a Thursday night. or you're going to steal your mom's. I'm not sure how it's going to work.
Right now, your gut feeling, if the average audience last year, and it was a shade over 14 million for every Thursday night game. Now it's going from Fox, which is not cable. You know what I mean? This is a network. It's going from Fox to Amazon.
All right. According to the internet, which we can only believe, maybe half of it, but what I Googled here, David, was that there are just shy of 149 million Amazon Prime members in the U.S.
That's pretty good. That's half the people in the country, by the way, basically. It's a little less.
Right. A lot more than I thought. It's a lot more than I thought.
Well, they're bigger than you think.
No, I know, but I just...
Right. I'm with you.
Did you think 1 and 2 had Amazon Prime?
No, I didn't.
I thought it'd be closer to 1 and 4.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
So you're in 150 million homes. If they get 4 million, I think it would be monstrous, David.
Okay. But remember, that's 30% of the audience of what you had. Okay. And I think some of the announcers, like in Herb Street's case, it's a bonus. First off, there's not a college game that he does until the very end of the season that gets 4 million people. I mean, 4 million people is a good 8 o'clock primetime audience for ABC ESPN on a Saturday night. And game day does about 3 million. So if he was taking their money and had 4 million people watching him, that's about his biggest audience until the very end of the season. And it only increases his profile. My guess, by the way, he has a year left on his contract, is that ESPN would let him do both.
I would think they would too.
Right. And that he would do both. So,
but if you're getting 4 million streaming, you're still on in the markets that the game's on
local TV.
On local TV.
Correct. But it's only in that one market, by
I got
the way.
you.
So like a Dolphins and a Bucks game for those in Fort Myers, Naples, Port Charlotte, Venice, just Gainesville, Ocala. The Bucks game would not be on your local TV on Fox.
Right, but the NFL markets are the big markets where they're going to get
right.
where they're going to drive the big numbers.
Right. So we can get back to this, but that's why I believe that right now people are hesitant to take Amazon's money, is because they think they lose relevance. In Herb Street's case, it would help him. It's a bonus, and it's a really rich bonus.
Boy, is it ever.
But for Michaels, for Aikman, and for others, I think they're just worried. So how big is the audience going to be? I mean, am I going to be in the witness protection program here? How much status am I going to lose doing this? I think it's a little fear of the unknown. Miller and Moulton. Coming up next, Ryan Spaeder. Talk a little baseball. No Derek Jeter. No deal. Ace of Spades is next. Or Ace of Spaeder, I should say. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No, I know, Hops. Right. That's what we've told people. If you have an Amazon Prime account, make the Miller and Moulton channel your channel of choice, and you get it for free.
I also think another thing that's going to happen is that because Amazon Prime is actually a pretty damn good deal, like with everything that you could get other than now football. I think a lot of people are going to realize the value in the deal, and I think people are just going to sign up.
You think that's why they paid a little over $1 billion a year to televise those games?
I mean, it's the future. We've had this conversation before.
Well, and I think they did a smart in this instance. They signed, I believe, an 11-year deal. So this isn't something that the NFL can just walk away from, they're all in.
Mhm.
I also think by signing an 11-year deal, they've signaled they're going to form a sports network of some kind.
I wonder how much more they're going to charge for Amazon Prime, and what they think the number is that they would lose other people for.
What do they charge now?
$140
a year for Amazon Prime. So a little under $12 a month.
Yeah, it's either $15 a month or $140 a year.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Depending on what you do. You can do the monthly or one time.
What's the number for you in which you'd actually see? I mean,
there is no number for me. It's my wife's. I mean, no.
That's what I mean.
She would not give it up.
Right. So could they go to $199?
Oh God, yes.
See,
in my house they could.
Right. That's what I'm wondering.
It's a big increase.
See, like we don't have it.
Well, I mean, when you're not watching sports, are you watching shows?
Yeah, but I mean, there's shows on network television, there's a couple on cable, and there's Netflix.
And there's not much on Amazon Prime, I don't think. I watch Netflix more. I would watch Apple more if I get it.
Right.
I mean, Amazon Prime has The Marvelous Miss Maisel. I don't know what other shows I'm missing on Amazon. Because The Marvelous Miss Maisel is one of the funniest shows that's ever been on TV. David, I think you would love it.
There's a show on Amazon called The Boys that's pretty good.
Is that the superhero show?
Yeah, it's basically like a super...
Like the superheroes or whatever, yeah.
Correct, and it's super violent and pretty represented on how superheroes would be in America.
Oh, Sean, I'm with you on the shit. I mean, if you order things from it, absolutely. Ordered a pair of sandals last night on Amazon Prime because these are blown out. Who does Ryan work for?
Fine.
I'm just putting MLB labor talks next to him then. So
Yeah, he's
fine.
Ryan's on hold. We're back in like 20.
Was that on Prime or was that on Netflix? I don't know which because I've not watched it.
Prime's got
DC.
good movies. I'll say that.
Yeah, no.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. No Pat Kerwin today. He's traveling to the Combine. Pat will join us tomorrow and Friday live from the Combine here on Miller and Moulton. Little baseball talk now. Ryan Spaeder, who was up late following the talks, covering the sport. You can follow Ryan on Twitter, the Ace of Spaeder, Spaeder. Great Twitter handle. Ryan, it's David and Mark once again. I know you're sleep deprived, but otherwise, how are you?
I'm doing great. I really appreciate you gentlemen having me on to talk a little baseball.
Well, can we start with the Marlins and your assessment as to what happened between Derek Jeter and the Marlins and why this divorce happened yesterday?
You know, it's always interesting when you see people separate, quote unquote, mutually. I mean, it goes back to middle school or high school. It was a mutual breakup. No, it wasn't. Somebody initiated, and I think that's probably the case here. Now, generally, when a player, or excuse me, I still think of Jeter as a player, an executive is saying this, it's probably because it was quit or be fired. However, I saw a lot of flack that Jeter was catching for blowing up the team a couple of years ago. And to be honest, I give him a hard time as a shortstop defensively because he shouldn't have been playing that position in the 2000s at all. But I think he didn't do a bad job for the Marlins. I mean, I look at their pitching rotation, and it's probably my favorite pitching rotation in all of baseball in terms of their age and potential. You got Rogers, Alcantara, Luzardo now, Edward Cabrera coming up, and then my favorite pitcher in all of baseball, and Pablo Lopez. So I don't think he did a terrible job. I wish I could speculate as to the reason why this breakup happened, why Jeter left a gift basket on the Marlins doorstep, but I really don't have the answers right now. It's odd because he really did do a pretty good job from my perspective.
Yeah, the Stanton deal, right out of the chute, and he caught a lot of grief for it. But I'm with you, Ryan. I think if you look on the totality, he's got them poised. They do need a little bit of offense, though, and they may have to spend a little money to get it. All right, speaking of money, the labor talks. In your estimation, how much progress did they make yesterday? Can you see a deal from where they're at?
So I will caution people because I don't think we made nearly as much progress as the Twitter world was saying. I think that they are still a little ways apart. I firmly believe that the owners had no intention of having April baseball, and the reason I think that is because I think they're willing to sacrifice a little bit of money up front in order to protect potential future earnings that are just going to be ginormous in terms of their TV deals, some of them stretching out to 30 years. So I think that the way that they were looking at it is, hey, we don't play baseball in April, maybe into May, and we'll get the players to cave a little bit. We'll drive a spike through the union. They did this in 1994, 95. I believe it was Lenny Dykstra who was confronting the union about the fact that he was losing $35,000 a day on a $6.5 million a year deal. And then Roger Clemens and Cecil Fielder were ready to rip the guy's head off because they were saying, why don't you stop spouting off about what your owner wants us to hear and tell us what you really think. And I think that this is part of the plan to divide the union was to, not play baseball in April. When you're starting to take away somebody's meal ticket, they're going to start to get a little bit hungry, and you're going to have guys who are going to want to just get back to playing and collect their checks, whatever that may be. So that's kind of why I think that not nearly as much progress has been made as far as what we were hearing from Twitter yesterday. I also think Major League Baseball is much more inclined to leak things, saying that the deal seems favorable, so that the players in the end look badly if that doesn't pan out.
Yeah, it is one of the things, Ryan. It's always fascinated us on labor negotiations and the fact that most of us will never be the man. And yet when these go on, the public sides with the man far more than they do with the players. It's always, always baffled us over the years. But Ryan, how much is Manfred going to be able to help? because obviously, when he makes the comments a couple of weeks ago that it would be disastrous if we lose games, we're on the verge of losing games after today, and that would look bad on Manfred. So how much do you think he can do as the commissioner to bridge these two sides, if it even means just today?
So, it's funny that you mentioned the deadline that was put in place for us to potentially miss games. That's a fake deadline, and it's not reality, because the fact of the matter is if they agree on Wednesday, which I don't think they're going to do, if they agree on Wednesday, then we're going to have a 162-game season. I don't have a doubt in my mind. But as far as Manfred goes, I kind of think the guy's a snake. I'm not a fan of his. You look at his history; he's got a bit of a sketchy history. He was when Selig was in office, he was sort of in charge of the steroid controversy in baseball. I kind of think he was at the forefront of sort of blacklisting our guys like Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, neither of whom I believe retired voluntarily. You go through his time in Major League Baseball and look at how he handled the sign stealing situation. I think the Astros were a scapegoat for that, just as the players were a scapegoat during the steroid era. Major League Baseball always skirts responsibility. More recently, look at the juiced ball scandal or the deadened ball scandal. The Major League Baseball and Rob Manfred turned around and blamed Rawlings for that, even though they had acquired Rawlings 6 months before any problems had ever happened. So I don't think Manfred's going to help the situation at all. I think he's, like I said, a bit of a snake. I don't think players trust him. And I think that he's very good at what he does, in that his job is essentially just to make the owners as much money as possible. He works for the owners. He doesn't work for the fans. He doesn't work for the players. So I guess that what he does, he's great at.
He's Ryan Spaeder, and he covers baseball for a living. You can follow him on Twitter at the Ace of Spaeder, Spaeder. If you're the players, why would you give the owners 14 teams in the playoff? I'm thinking, if for no other reason, Ryan, I hold that in my back pocket for the next go around 4 or 5 years down the road. I mean, if you give them what they really, really want, you have nothing to give them the next time you're at the table. So
on the 14-team playoff thing, first of all, I kind of come from a controversial standpoint on this. I personally really like the 16-team model. I did a write-up 3 years ago or so on a 16-team model similar to what the NHL does, with a couple caveats in there, such as the first series being played at the home team at their ballpark in its entirety. And then, oddly enough, for all the wrong reasons, because of the pandemic, we did have a 16-team playoff in 2020, which I personally really enjoyed, even though there weren't fans in the stands. It wasn't quite the same, but I did enjoy that. As far as the 14-team playoff goes, I don't think the owners or Major League Baseball ever expected the players to accept that. I think that their goal ultimately was the 12-team playoff. And, you're never going to come forward with the offer that you were willing to accept that doesn't favor you the most. So, of course, they're asking for 14 teams now. They're going to ask for it down the road. And then eventually I think we're going to see that 16-team model again, which controversial. It may be. A lot of fans say it waters down the regular season. I personally don't believe that. That's kind of what I would like to see. I think that playoff baseball is the best, and so why don't we want more of that? I don't know.
What is your estimation of when this gets resolved? When do you think baseball begins?
I think we're going to see spring training, let's say around April 15th. I think we're going to see baseball around mid-May. I really hope I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being a pessimist just because we've seen this so many times before. I mean, we talk often of the 1994 strike, but people forget that ran into 1995 as well. And we missed out on that Albert Bell season where he had over 50 doubles and 50 home runs anyway, even though the season was 144 games, and then the disgrace that was 2020 when we had a 60-game season, having missed many of the games because of the pandemic, but then missing even more because baseball just can't seem to get out of its way. And so for those reasons, I just don't think we're going to see baseball until May. I think it's a shame, and I think it's a disgrace. It's a stain on the game. And I don't understand how Rob Manfred and the owners cannot perceive the fact that they're going to lose fans over this. I don't know if it's because they say, hey, we got social media now, we'll rope the guys right back in. We don't need fans in the stands that much because we have these 30-year TV contracts. I don't know what it is, but it just seems time and time again that Major League Baseball refuses to get out of its own way.
So it sounds like you think at the end of the day, the players are going to be prepared to do a deal and the owners are going to say, nope, you haven't given enough.
Well, don't you recall during the when we were trying to have a season in 2020, the players did the whole tell me where and when thing. I wouldn't at all be surprised if we see something like that again.
But don't you think the mood in 2020 was different in this sense? We were in the middle of a pandemic. And Ryan, I don't think the country or even hardcore baseball fan was like, oh, please, when are you playing? I'm hanging on when you guys come back. I do think baseball fan now is like, hey, okay, come on now. For the most part, we got COVID in the rearview mirror here. I'm ready for baseball. You guys can't screw this up.
So honestly, I'd say we differ a little bit there because I do think in 2020, the country was hungry for something. We needed something at that point. And I think a lot of people were leaning on the baseball season. They were depending on having some sort of exit from reality at that point. And I think a lot of us, me included, we're leaning on baseball for that. Though I do agree that at this point, people are very, very frustrated. When I say people, of course, I mean baseball fans, be it diehards like me, diehards like you guys, or, just your casual fan who wants to go watch a game, have a couple beers, and enjoy a hot dog or something. So I do see frustration mounting. Again, I go back to that 94-95 strike. Thank goodness for guys like Cal Ripken Jr., Mark McGwire, and that home run chase alongside Sammy Sosa. The only problem is I don't think we're going to have anything like that to draw fans back into the game. Again, I bring up the social media thing. I think Major League Baseball is leaning heavily on that to rope people back in because, their clips are circulating all over the place. They got Pitching Ninja working for them, and people love to see the 3 to 5 second clips of the game. So I think they're leaning on that, something they didn't have back in 1994, 95 through 98 through 2001, so on and so forth.
He's Ryan Spaeder. He covers baseball for a living. TheAceOfSpaeder.com. You can follow him on Twitter at The Ace of Spaeder, Spaeder. Ryan, thanks for making time for us. Get some caffeine. Go back to work.
I appreciate it, gentlemen. And I'll tell you what, I hope it's and eat crow. I hope I'm wrong about everything. I hope we find out there's a deal today, and I'll be the first one to jump on with you guys and with egg all over my face. I really hope I'm wrong.
Ryan, I'll take you back anytime because it allows me to put a Lemmy gif out every time we send a tweet out on you. So I'm always down with that. Have a great one, Ryan.
You too. I appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you.
Ryan Spaeder, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. I think he's going to be wrong because I think the players will give in at the end.
But do you think something gets done he's not even starting spring training for another 45 days.
No, I think a deal gets done, whether it's by 5 o'clock or by 5 o'clock. They're so close. I think a deal will get done. I think the players will cave. I think the players care more about the game than the owners. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Well, it was right around here. Where are you?
See, but right now, I want Chick-fil-A breakfast, but I don't want to spend $10 more just on delivery fees. Please extend it to 11 a.m.
You want Chick-fil-A? I'll buy breakfast for you guys if you want.
Really?
Sure.
No, thanks.
No?
No, I want a punch key. I'm going to the.
He's dedicated.
I don't like eating during the show anymore.
Okay.
Just
That's right, because you've never tried Chick-fil-A breakfast.
No, I never have. Oh.
I'm looking right now. I'm seeing Belichick, McVay, Tomlin, Harbaugh, Matt Rule.
Well, Belichick's going to be there, but he's not talking, is what.
Oh, no, okay, not doing interviews. All right, but I can't find what I couldn't find the tweet I just had.
Ops midterm assignment, yes. Exam.
Original USFL sues Fox over
Yeah.
NSFL reboot.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. I figured we could short segment that.
Oh, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, and now Saleh. Do that for 8. We can do that. Well, we do that now, I guess.
Yeah.
With him.
David, just because I have to call Chad, do you actually want breakfast?
No.
Okay.
No. If Mark was having breakfast, I was going to buy you 2 breakfasts.
Well, it cost you breakfast.
I might head to the Cuban place after this.
Oh, you're talking.
There you go.
Yeah. Cheap.
Again, by the way, not listening. The mobile gas station next to the Wendy's And then you text me, where's this gas station at?
I
He
went to the
marathon.
I went to the marathon.
Is that next to the Wendy's?
I didn't
No,
know.
no, no. Is that next to the Wendy's?
No.
Okay. Did I say specifically it was next to the Wendy's on the air? You don't listen. Like, you don't understand how important that is. Like, I'm trying to be funny, but I'm not messing around.
Look at these guys. John Morant is a bad man. I
Yes,
will
he
say
is.
that.
Canada Relief, I would not cook in this building if it was the last meal on earth. I'd starve before I'd eat something that was cooked in a microwave in this building. This is the dirtiest place on earth.
And the building is much nicer now than it was a handful
Chad's
of
on
years
hold.
ago. And
We're back in 5 seconds.
it's
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the beginning of the final hour of the show for those of you in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte and Venice. We are halfway home for those of you in the 239. Miller and Moulton, thanks for being a part of the Florida Sports Network, and thanks for Chad Forbes for joining us once again. He covers the NFL, the draft, the combine, the league at large. You can follow him on Twitter at NFL Draft Bites, NFL Draft Bites. Chad, it's David and Mark once again. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
Morning, guys. Great to be back.
First off, a question about the combine. Hell, 3 of the coaches aren't even going. You got players who are working out, more of them every year. Is the combine slowly dying before our eyes?
The interview process and medicals will always be important, but the technology has just changed so much that what does a 40 matter on a kid if I have his GPS feed from every college game he's played in the Senior Bowl? It just becomes less important. You know, the Rams really started this trend, and when a team wins the Super Bowl, teams start to kind of follow the trend.
So outside of medical and interviews, is there any part of the combine that scouts find important anymore, Chad?
I think the idea that it's become a little bit too much like a convention has really irritated a lot of the teams. You got all these trainers and PR people there, and it used to be that when a coach was there, he could be walking over to the combine and just have an organic conversation with a kid for like 2 or 3 minutes. And think, a really interesting guy. I wasn't sure if we were going to have him into our suite to discuss anything, but let's discuss that player. So that used to be really valuable to the coaches, and that's gone now because everybody's with their trainer, their specialist, their masseuse there. So it's really become a little bit too much like a convention and less football oriented. So I kind of see why the coaches don't want to be there, to be frank.
With that said, are there players that you're intrigued about that you think this is a significant 48, 72 hours in their lives?
There's always players where you look at them on tape throughout the fall and you say, okay, he's going to be a big-time prospect on the draft. I just don't think he's got the speed. One of them is Traylon Burks, the wide receiver from Arkansas. He's a big receiver, 6'3", 225 pounds. His weight's fluctuated over his career at Arkansas. He's worked predominantly out of the slot. I see more of a 4.52, 4.55 wide receiver. If he runs a low time, that could be really beneficial to his stock. And really the speed-denominated positions, I understand that I mentioned earlier, you got all this technology that times their speed. But let's be honest, if a Chris Olave, the wide receiver from Ohio State, runs a 4.27, that's going to get people excited.
Well, at the end of the day, then, Chad, what you're talking about from whatever position, it's a little bit of the wow factor because sometimes when they're all among one another, one guy can stand out, can he?
Absolutely, especially when you go in there and you got these clusters where you say there's 4 or 5 wide receivers that you think could go in the first round. They all are different kind of player profiles in terms of what they do well. If a guy can come in and really be impressive in the workouts, even just running the gauntlet or whatever it is, that can help him a little bit. But ultimately, these guys aren't going to move around that much unless there's a really bad negative medical situation, or if you hear some guy interviews poorly. So it's not going to move much. It's really become kind of an event for the fans and the media in a way.
All right, Chad, let's talk a little bit about the draft. Is the safety from Notre Dame worth taking as high as he's graded? Because he's graded on some people's boards as one of the 2 best players. Most everybody has him as one of the 5 best players, but he's a safety. And people are wondering whether or not, great player, but unless he's Ed Reed, do you take one of those guys in the top 5?
Right. It's the depth of free agency. There's tons of players out there, and it's a non-premium position you can address on the cheap on the market. So what we're really asking here is he a unicorn? And 2 months ago, I would have told you no, but he does kind of excite me, but not necessarily in the same kind of cluster of the top players. But I think if you're a team that's sitting at 6 or 7 and you start to say, okay, the pass rushers are gone, the offensive tackles are gone, maybe he makes some sense. So, yeah, he's an exciting player. He's obviously had a great career at Notre Dame, and he's also very young and feels like he's ascending, which is, from the analytics teams, is pretty ideal.
What position is the deepest so far that you can see at this draft?
It's a really good offensive line class, which is a pleasant surprise. We haven't seen that over the past few years, especially with the tackles in this group. There's probably 4 or 5 tackles that just go in the first round, but then there's depth on day 2, which is really a change from past years. And the edge rush group is also very good, and again, we haven't seen that in a few years. So that's pretty exciting, especially if you're one of these teams that can't rush the quarterback or protect your quarterback.
All right, the kid from Oregon, why is he slipping? He was the number 1 pick of the draft when the regular season ended.
I think it's personality. I think he rubs people the wrong way. They wonder if he's about football. Nobody can say that anymore because they don't want to be the guy that comes out and just says, Kayvon Thibodeau's rub people the wrong way, because all of a sudden it's like the entire narrative around the draft season is, one of these big guys, whether it's, McShay or Daniel Jeremiah said this about Kayvon Thibodeau. But, when you're kind of a prized recruit like you are, you come out and say, I didn't go to Alabama because there's things that are bigger than football to me. You start your own cryptocurrency and then have a tough junior year. You're gonna generate some questions about you. And then I also think it's like teams that are sitting there saying to their pals in the media, oh, yeah, Kayvon Thibodeau is such a bad kid, hoping that he might fall into their laps.
Malik Willis, it's the most intriguing part. It's a quarterback. First round bust. I've seen all kinds of different things on him. Where do you rank him, and what is it people will need to see between now and the draft before they think he's their guy?
He's got the most upside of any of the quarterbacks in this draft, and he's far from a sure thing. But when guys like Josh Allen come along and have the success they did as kind of project, people start to think that you could take a project and turn him into, perennial Pro Bowl or one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I see him ending up with the Steelers. I think they got to trade up to get him, maybe to 10 or even maybe higher. But he's got a lot of really interesting skills, a big time arm, and he's my top quarterback in the draft. But even I'll be honest, it's a little scary.
Is this the Jake Locker, Blaine Gabbert, Christian Ponder, who went 8, 10, and 12 draft that really these guys, because the fear was, the minute Locker went at 8, the other 2 teams panicked. And so if Pickett or Willis by chance gets taken by Denver at 9 or Washington at 11, I don't think
wasn't that the lockout year?
I
think that was where there wasn't a really long off season for teams to address quarterback, and the market was not full of guys. I compared a little bit more to the EJ Manuel draft, where he was the only quarterback that went in the first round.
Gotcha.
But it's a really interesting group, and I think that the problem is that when there's 6 of them and there's no consensus, each team's going to look at one guy and say, whether it's Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, Sam Howell. A team like the Saints may say only one of these guys is worth a first round pick, but it might be a different guy than who the Steelers think is worth a first round pick, or the Commanders. So it seems like every year I'm the guy beating the drum saying that there's only one first round quarterback or 2. And then we always end up seeing 3 or 4 go.
By the way, is there one, like you mentioned Howell? I read something the other day in which, just from a physical throwing the ball standpoint, that he was better than Pickett and Corral and Ritter. All right. I mean, do you agree with that? Which quarterback's basically going to be the second round breakthrough quarterback in your mind?
It'll either be Kenny Pickett or Howell. Ritter needs a year. And everything you hear is that the Falcons are going to go after Ritter, and he'll have a great chance to develop sitting behind Matt Ryan with Arthur Smith. Howell and Pickett are more ready than Ritter, which is strange because Desmond Ritter's Cincinnati quarterback's a fifth-year senior. But Howell's got a little bit of Baker Mayfield to him. Maybe some people could see some Russell Wilson. Very athletic, throws a good deep ball, decent accuracy, very smart. He's a guy where the combine's going to help because he's winning teams over with the interview process. Very mature guy, so he's the guy that I think could really be get a lot of help this week.
All right, when you look at the two Michigan kids, Hutchinson and Ajabo, do you see the difference between first and 11th on them? One's a junior. I know people that don't love Hutchinson as much as the number one overall pick. How much of a difference is there between the two Michigan edge rushers?
Ajabo was a one-year wonder who started playing football 4 years ago. He's got less power, less instincts. Hutchinson has power, but he has less bend. I mean, Ajabo, some of the things he does on tape, he kind of looks like Gumby, the way he bends the edge. So Ajabo, it really wouldn't surprise me if in 3 or 4 years we look back on it and say, wow, he's the better player. But I think the floor with Hutchinson is just higher.
Do you like this draft?
I like tackles, offensive tackles. I love the Northern Iowa guy. I like Icky from NC State. I've had a lot of fun studying the offensive linemen. But overall, I mean, I hate it because it's such a cop-out, but doesn't it feel like a really weak draft?
Well, it's not a sexy draft because you don't have quarterbacks we know some are going to go in the first round, but Chad, I don't know how many of them have a first-round grade. There's not a running back that has a first-round grade. While it's deep at wide receiver, there doesn't seem to be a Jamar Chase type wide receiver in this draft. I don't know if you agree with that assessment or not. I think the draft is lacking sizzle.
Right. No one's going to get excited about, the 4 or 5 offensive tackles that have top 10 grades, right? It's not, as you said, Jamar Chase or even a Saquon Barkley is going to generate a lot of discussion, but these teams that are sitting in the top, it's a good pass rusher draft. These teams that are sitting in the top 10, they always have the same problem. No quarterbacks, no tackles, no pass rushers. So for those teams that, have really had trouble over the last, few years, it's a good draft in terms of filling their needs. But I agree, there's no Jamar Chase that'll get you excited.
Before we let you go, I'm going through the teams. This Thibodeau could drop to 8, couldn't he?
Who's that?
The Oregon kid?
I don't see him getting past the Jets at 4, but, anything can happen. And if this kind of narrative around him continues to percolate, he doesn't address it head on, then sure. I mean, I couldn't see him getting past the Falcons at 8, but at some point when he starts following, don't you think the Eagles have to start thinking about moving up, considering they've got those 3 first-round picks?
Yep, because they only need to hold on to one of them to grab the Iowa center, who I think they really want to come away with this draft with. But they want a center and they want an offense.
Jason Kelsey, right?
Yeah. Well, for only one more year, though. I mean, he's thinking about retirement every year. But
yep.
Chad, really appreciate it. Hopefully we can do this again between now and the draft.
It was fun, guys. Enjoy Combine Week.
Chad Forbes, covering the Combine, covers the NFL at large, big draft guy. That's why his Twitter handle is NFL Draft Bites. NFL Draft Bites, BITES. Chad Forbes joining us here on Miller and Moulton.
Enjoy Combine Week.
Right. Well, followed not that long after with the new NFL season and free agency.
They have done a miraculous job of owning large portions of March and April.
Yeah.
With everything that's going on in the sports world, what the NFL has done to grab portions of March and April.
The new NFL year begins the day before the full tournament field gets underway. March 17th, that Thursday, is when we're down to 64. March 16th is when the new NFL year begins. A lot of contracts become fully guaranteed the third day of the NFL year, which is Friday, March 18th, you're going to see a lot of guys dumped and moved between March 16th and March 18th. It wasn't that long ago in which that would be public relations death. It's the first 2 days of the tournament, basically. What are you doing?
Yeah, we're doing whatever we want.
Right.
Because there's us and there's everything else.
Correct. And don't you forget it. And we proved it even to ourselves once and for all on Christmas Day. And we ain't looking back.
Now, punchkis for everybody.
For those that weren't with us last hour, Mark, what is a punchki?
A punchki is this phenomenal looking Polish
Fried
donut
sweet
bit of
treat.
heaven.
Yes.
That I have to go find when the show's over.
Punchkis and pierogies. It's a pretty good diet.
Had pierogies last night for dinner.
I'm sure you're dead by the age of 47 if you lived nothing on punchkis and pierogies, but boy,
You'd be happy.
Yes, you would. 15 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton, or punchkis and pierogies here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Good Lord. That
Hmm?
first ad.
Yes. And remember where the Dolphins are coming from. They're coming from the Niners pick. So they're coming from 29. So I don't think the Dolphins are going to be able to get ahead of the Eagles. Kelsey's 34. He's openly talking about retiring. And so if you're the Eagles, it's the best center in a couple years. You just want to take him and have him. You'll start him at guard if Kelsey comes back, and then you move him at center, and he's going to play 12 years in the league. As for the combine, the NFL's threatening to move it to Los Angeles because that's where the NFL Network offices are. And since it is becoming more and more of a made-for-TV event, there's no one in the league that wants it in Los Angeles, by the way. Everybody wants to keep it in Indy.
When we talked fishing, someone texted the show, just tuned in.
machine. Wow, you're talking sports. Shu and Shep in 4 hours may have talked 45 minutes of sports. Guess audiences like movie trailers. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Not familiar with the show you speak of. We're on in 4 markets with the Florida Sports Net. Hope you like the show.
So is he saying he likes the fact we're talking sports?
I don't know.
Indy, because it's centrally located. If you've been to the downtown, the stadium and the hotels that surround it, you can literally walk everywhere. Middle of the country. So it's not that difficult to travel for most of the teams. I did not see that about the Rams. Yeah, I don't think their quarterback's a starting quarterback in the NFL, Carson Strong. I think I know he's got the height and he's got a strong arm. You know, I've seen him play in person once.
How old is Stephen Jones?
How old is Steven?
Yeah.
I'm going to guess he's a couple years older than me. I'm going to guess like 59.
He looks a lot older than that. 7. I mean, he looked like he was in his 60s.
Or he's gone all gray. He's gone white.
Yeah, but it wasn't so much the gray; it was the wrinkles in his face. Like that picture they just showed.
I mean, Mark.
Yeah, and you have access to the best medical in the world. You can.
Well, but his dad gets the facelifts and the plastic surgery.
15 seconds.
I would.
Almost.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, brought to you in part by Napa, Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. If it moves and it needs a filter, you go get it at Napa. It's really simple. Need to make your life simpler. Napa Filters for the do-it-yourselfers out there. And for those of you in the 239, say hi to the Napa Dream Team for us. They know who we are.
If you've never texted the show, simply text the keyword FSN Radio to 21,000. FSN Radio, like Florida Sports Network Radio, to 21,000. Then you're in, and you can text as little or as much as you would like.
Do a little bracketology in about 15 minutes. Who's in, who's out. The tournament would start 2 weeks from tonight with the first play-in games. We'll play that who's in, who's out game with Shelby Mast.
There's a study out, David, that says, and I think you will agree with this study for the record, but the University of Chicago's National Opinion Research Center, along with Nielsen and all the numbers, basically the 167 million that watched the Super Bowl, they say is wrong. It's closer to 208 million that watched at least part of the game. Because Nielsen numbers don't account sports bars, people that are at parties, and all of the other things. So when they do the data, they say it's closer to 208 million. And I think you and I like that number because simply we've always wondered, really, half the country's not watching the Super Bowl, huh?
Well, and really, you know, when they say it's 110 million, that's a third of the country.
Right.
And we used to say, can you name a person who doesn't watch the Super Bowl? Every year, can you name someone in your life who does not watch the Super Bowl? I have one person in my life. It's my mother's really good friend, Aunt Kathy. That's what I call her. Aunt Kathy. She does not watch the Super Bowl. Maybe she'll check out a little bit of the halftime.
But that's even saying, that's what they're saying. They're saying 112 million people at any point in time are watching.
Right.
167 million watched at least part of it. But they're saying this figure is 25% higher than that 167 million. Because even Aunt Kathy, if she walks out and catches the anthem, the halftime show, a damn commercial, she watched part of the game, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha. But most years, my Aunt Kathy's a no.
Huh.
I know.
Getting ready for spring training?
Watching a movie. Maybe a little Fox News channel. That's big. That's big with Aunt Kathy. So, that's all.
So that was one little nugget that I saw out there. And this one I know you saw, David. What is going on with your football league?
Well, Mark, it wouldn't be a legitimate football league if there wasn't a lawsuit. I mean, I think that establishes credibility for the league. The old ownership of the USFL wants its league back. I got to be brutally honest. When Fox announced a few months ago they were coming back with the USFL, I guess it was a year ago now, I did look around. We did a segment on it in which I'm like, really? They own the league? How do they own the league?
The real USFL LLC is seeking an order preventing Fox from using the USFL name, the names and logos of any of the 18 teams that played in the original USFL. They say it's unabashed counterfeit, to which Fox has no right, I tell you.
Wow.
Over the Birmingham Stallions.
The Michigan Panthers, New Jersey Generals,
and the Memphis Showboats.
And a little no soup for you there. Wow. Just calm down, big fella. This whole Fat Tuesday thing.
Who the hell cares, USFL?
Come on, don't you think that this is just a money grab?
Of course it is.
They can get, and then they could say, hey, now that we won, I mean, we'll give you the name and the logo and everything if you just stroke us a check.
And if I'm Fox, I'm offering them $3. I'm going to say, you guys have always done well in lawsuits. How about 3 $1 bills and you go blank off?
I would have had to have thought that a year or so ago when they announced that this league was coming back, that they went through this in-house, right? They've got attorneys in which they go, you sure we can have the rights to this? Somebody doesn't own this? Some family's not going to call us up and go, you do know I own the Twitter handle for this. You sure we're not going to run into that? I would like to think that they've taken care of this. But hey, more publicity. That's how I feel.
Trademark infringement, false advertising, false association. I mean, they're putting as many catchphrases in this lawsuit as they possibly can, David.
For the record, this league has not existed for 36 years.
Correct.
I mean, what is the statute of limitations on defunct pro football leagues?
Well, I love it that Fox made it clear that they had no intention of discussing the matter further. And eventually Fox claimed that the USFL had been defunct for more than 30 years and had abandoned its trademarks. I like the side of Fox.
Yeah, I do. I would think time's on their side here.
But I saw the story and thought of you immediately. Mr. Spring Football, as they like to call you in different parts of the country.
Listen, if you're running the new USFL, don't you think that what's going on today in Jupiter you're paying close attention to? I mean, come on now. Aren't you rooting hard for a lockout?
Yes.
I mean, hey, we can get off the ground. We can have a couple of weekends. If they don't really want to play till May 1st, great. Fantastic. We can get a couple of weekends under our belt.
I will tell you, by the way, that you do some R&D for me.
Okay.
Whenever you're out, and Felipe, you as well. Whenever you're out and you're talking sports, particularly you, Felipe, when you're talking with your young friends, and sports are talked all the time. And I'm guessing because of football, they know about the USFL.
Hardly.
It's fine. Ask them where the games are being played. Because when I told a buddy of mine was over for the weekend, and he goes, hey, see the USFL's back? And I said, yeah. And I said, they're playing all the games in Birmingham, Alabama? And he went, what? It's the worst and best thing about the USFL. It shows you that it's completely a made-for-television league. And it might be the only reason that this league makes it.
Now, I think the plan is that for next year, the Michigan Panthers will actually play games in Michigan.
I like them all in Birmingham. I like putting them up in a few dorm rooms. I like making this as cost-effective as possible. All you're trying to do is put games on television. This might as well be roller derby. I don't need them to be in cities. I'll just make the damn cities up.
So if there's like a double header, it's just going to be one game. And
Yes.
Then the next. Yep.
Yeah. It's like a high school football jamboree.
Right.
Every week in Birmingham.
March Madness.
Yeah.
But for football.
What's the problem? 2 games. We break for dinner. We clear the arena. Okay. The next 2 teams have arrived. We'll let you guys in about 12 minutes.
Can someone clear the concession stands out? We got to get the other youth group in here to work it.
Vern and Raft are eating their hot dogs. They'll be ready to go in a bit.
Bring in the new merchandise for each team.
I think I'd just sell one shirt with all the logos on it.
There you go.
The We're United USFL shirts.
I might get me one of those.
I want one with the map of the United States, but I want all 6 logos to be right over Birmingham.
It's not going to happen. Listen, I know this league has a lot of problems. All right. The biggest of which is that when you look back, it's the players the USFL was able to get their hands on.
Yes.
That now, obviously, there are no quarterbacks. And what would sell this or any other league? 6 or 8 named quarterbacks. It was one of the things I thought that the XFL had going for it 20 years ago. I mean, Tommy Maddox and a couple of other guys who had played in the league, who were high draft choices. Oh, okay. I mean, now they're dealing with guys who were largely undrafted.
Well, of the quarterbacks that were on the USFL list, the name I recognized was Shea Patterson.
Right. And he went first overall. And he was undrafted, I believe. Right. But he was the only name of the 8. When you think back to the original USFL, I mean, Steve Young, Jim Kelly, they grabbed a couple of guys on the downside of their NFL careers. Brian Sipe, I believe, was the first quarterback for the New Jersey Generals. Well, it was only 3 years earlier he led the Browns to the best record in the AFC before they lost in the playoffs. Then they got Doug Flutie as their quarterback. Chuck Fusino was the quarterback in Philadelphia. And he had led Penn State to 2 national championship games 6-8 years earlier.
I mean, you'd think at least the USFL could have signed Testaverde.
He was still at Miami.
No, I meant
now
this league. You thought I meant the old one? Are you crazy?
Vinny, it's a Tuesday. You think you can be ready to go on Sunday?
Sure.
No problem. Listen, I got to take the kids, pick them up from school, take them to soccer today. Can I fly in tomorrow? Sure. Not a problem.
I've got to watch the grandkids on Tuesday. I'll be there before kick.
Let's see. Vinny's last year was 86. So 35, 30. Vinny's got to be 57, 58.
That's why I said grandkids. I wasn't kidding there, David.
Miller and Moulton. Shelby, Mast. Who's in? Who's out? It's March, baby. Therefore, there will be madness on Miller and Moulton. See what I did there?
It was very impressive.
Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. And then the Johnnies, Dayton, and South Carolina are the only ones he really thinks have a shot.
No Florida USFL teams, huh? That's unfortunate.
He's got Liberty as a 15 seed. Are they that bad?
no, there
they've
is.
lost a couple here.
Yeah, they're 21-10.
Yeah.
There is a Florida USFL team, the Tampa Bay Bandits.
Also, it's tied into the conference's rating, although I got to be honest, nobody pays attention to the A-Sun. A-Sun's deep this year.
Technically, this is a pretty good conference this year. I mean, they're third or fourth in the conference, right?
I mean, FGCU finished third on their side. I mean, by seeding, they're the fifth best team in the A-Sun. It's a pretty salty fifth best team in a small conference.
Right.
I mean, they got a big
That's what I
time
mean.
point guard and a big time five.
So he's got San Francisco in. He's got San Diego State in. Boise in. How many Mountain West teams he got? He's got 4 Mountain West, David. 4 Mountain West, 4 West Coast.
Four West. Oh, San Francisco, right?
Yeah. And he's got them in. Like in.
Who's the one seed on the other side of the ASUN for men's?
Jacksonville State.
Have we played them?
Yeah, lost at their place by like 6 or 7. I'm telling you, the really tough game from a matchup standpoint is their second game. They're going to drill North Alabama tonight, and then they're going to go to Bellarmine. They have really struggled with Bellarmine the last 2 years. They cannot figure them out defensively. All right, they can't stop them. They've got to figure out a way to stop them. That if they get by Bellarmine, they'll have to play probably the top 2 seeds in the next 2 games, both on the road, but they beat Liberty on the road, and they lost to Jacksonville State close. I'm telling you, the big game for them is the second game.
Well, I mean, it took Tavion Martin scoring 43 points to beat Liberty.
Yeah, well, it took the Liberty kids scoring 47 to beat FGCU down here, and they only won by 3. Yeah, the Liberty kid scored 47.
Holy hell.
Yeah. He's the kid who's going to beat Tavion out for player of the year.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
So are there any Florida USFL teams?
No. Yeah, Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay Bandits?
Yep.
Nice. As
Is it
Mark
the Bandits? Are they the Bandits?
Yeah.
Bandits. Yeah.
As Mark said, do any of your friends know USFL? I said hardly. Less than a minute later, my friend texted me, what the hell is the USFL?
Llama, it's Landry, not laundry, but yes. Way past his prime, too.
Apparently Russia struck the second largest city this morning. Hard. President whatever said it's an undisguised terror and the death toll isn't known yet. Not long after sunrise.
What?
Not long after sunrise.
Shelby's on holder back in 30. Shelby Mast.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes before the hour, the home stretch of Miller and Moulton for 3 of our 4 affiliates along the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Shelby Mast is kind enough to join us once again. He is the bracketologist for USA Today and all the Gannett newspapers. He does his own thing at bracketwag.com, bracketwag, W-A-G.com, and you can follow him on Twitter, appropriately enough, at bracketwag. Shelby, it's David and Mark once again. How are you this morning?
Doing well. How about you guys?
Well, we are good. So many questions. Today's just a snapshot in time. But how many you got from the ACC in right now?
I've got 5 in right now. North Carolina is in the play-in game. They almost fell out of that last night, but I got 5.
And Wake Forest, North Carolina, and Miami on Shelby's chart are all in red. That means they are not virtual locks. It means that they still have work to do. Shelby, how low do you see the ACC number going? Because you have 3 teams virtually on your bubble. I can't imagine all 3 would miss out, but how low could it get for the ACC?
It could get to 3, but I'm expecting it'll be 5 in the tournament, unless North Carolina just lays an egg. 5 is a good number considering how bad it is this year. I won't be surprised with 4, but I'm thinking 5.
All right, I'm missing one off the top of my head here because obviously Duke's the lock.
Notre Dame.
Oh, okay. So you're confident with Notre Dame?
I am. They've played a good enough schedule and they got that win over Kentucky, and that's carrying some weight.
All right. How many for the Mountain West? That's kind of our sleeper conference here. How many you got?
Yeah, I've got 4 from the Mountain West, and San Diego State kind of not really locked themselves in, but I feel they did better last night. With that win at Wyoming, that was Wyoming's first home loss. It wasn't too bad of a loss for them, but I think they're looking at 4 teams now.
And that would be Boise State, Colorado State, Wyoming, and San Diego State. Huge win for the Aztecs in Laramie last night.
What will the Canes have to do to get into the tournament? 2 games left. They've got BC and they've got Syracuse. They win them both. Are they in?
Probably so, but they cannot lose to Boston College. That would be devastating. That's a bad team. Get the wins you're supposed to get, and things will work themselves out.
Any concern for the Gators? Like, let's say they go 1-1 this week. I don't know if that's 19 or 20 then heading into the SEC tournament. Let's just say that's what they do, and then they're 1 and done in the SEC tournament. Would they still be in?
I don't think so. I've got them out right now. I just don't. They haven't done enough on their schedule. Their resume is not as good as other teams that are in comparable spots, and I think they've got to win 3 in a row, maybe 4.
Wow. And they play tonight against Vandy. Michigan and Indiana, you both have in play-in games. Both in the tournament, neither in the tournament, only 1 in the tournament at the end of the day.
My gut says only 1 will, and I'm not sure which one yet, but I'm leaning towards Michigan. Indiana, they beat Purdue. That's nice, but there isn't a whole lot else on there. And the committee likes those wins that stand out, quad 1 wins, and they don't have the numbers.
Well, Michigan State tonight, right? And Indiana's hosting Rutgers tomorrow. Do you think, first off, the Rutgers-Indiana game, is that a play-in?
Almost. I think it's at Indiana. And I think that'd be a big win for Rutgers. Not big, but it would help their profile a lot. And that might be enough to move them in. But Indiana needs to win to stay in there, I think.
Purdue plays at Wisconsin tonight. I know they just lost to Sparty. If Purdue pulls that off, how much of a shot does Purdue have at getting a 1, or have they kind of ruined their chances along with how the Big Ten maybe has played down the stretch?
I think they've got a shot. If Purdue were to win out and win the Big Ten tournament, it'd be awful hard to keep them off the 1 line. You figure one of Baylor or Kansas is going to lose again, so they can slide right into that spot.
Well, could you say the same thing about Wisconsin? I mean, don't laugh. They won at Rutgers. A lot of teams have gone there and lost. Wisconsin's got 4 quality road wins. Could they win out and be a 1?
Probably not. The committee didn't seem to like them too much when they had their big reveal a week ago. They only had them on the 4 line. And for some reason, they don't seem to like Wisconsin. So I think that'd be too big of a jump up for a team with this little time.
Out of your first 4 out and next 4 out, Memphis, VCU, St. Bonaventure, Rutgers, Oregon, Florida, Vatech, and Belmont, how many of those teams do you think will make the tournament?
Probably, I'm thinking 3 right now. I have good feeling about Memphis. I think the committee will be kind to VCU because they had some injury issues and lost some games, but they're back full strength and going gangbusters right now. And St. Bonaventure's wild card, they were projected to be a top 25 team. They didn't live up to it early on, but they've won quite a few in a row, so they might slide in too.
4 good teams in the Missouri Valley. How many of them do you think get in?
I think just 1. I've got Loyola in there right now because they've got the highest net, but I just bet that that's a 1-bid conference.
Oregon, heartbreaking loss in the final seconds over the weekend at home against USC. Nearly completed the sweep of the Southern California schools. In or out right now?
Out right now. They've got a shot, but I think they've got to get to the finals of the Pac-12 tournament.
Shelby Mast, bracketologist, USA Today, all the Gannett newspapers around the country. Follow him on Twitter at BracketWag. You can see his work every night. He has an updated bracket at bracketwag.com. In your world, barring something like Georgetown last year, rattling off 4 in a row and winning a conference tournament, how many teams are in play for the final spots? Is it an absolute mess, or has it kind of settled itself?
I think it's more of an absolute mess. Since the committee expanded this to the NCAA expanded it to 68 teams, it seems like the bubble's getting weaker and weaker and weaker. I think we should go back to 64. You know, you're missing 4 teams, and I know that some good has come out of those play-in games, but you're watering down the field a little bit. Go back to 64, and we probably won't have this type of discussion.
The odds of that ever happening, though, Shelby, slim to none?
Yeah, there's a lot of money involved.
Funny how that works.
It is.
You know, Gonzaga's god-awful conference for all these years. How many bids the West Coast getting right now?
I think 4. They've got a shot at it. BYU is an outlier. They keep it in, but this is not the WCC of the last 20 years.
That's right. That's right. We got what? Gonzaga. We got St. Mary's, San Francisco,
and BYU.
Yep.
So, all right. What's your favorite game of the night?
Tonight, I'm kind of keeping an eye. It's a low game, but Tennessee and Georgia. I think Georgia could maybe pull the upside there. Tennessee will be looking past that one.
Don't think it'll save Crean's job, but that would certainly be interesting.
Yeah.
Shelby, as always, appreciate your time and your insight. Try to get some rest this time of year.
Thank you.
Shelby Mast, bracketwag.com, bracketwag, WAG.com, updates it every night before he goes to sleep.
The Bonnies are at VCU tonight. They're both on the first 4 outline.
I'm impressed the Bonnies have played their way back to the first 4 outline.
They were on life support 2 weeks ago.
They had a horrible middle of the season. Them and Colorado State were the mid-major dandies, and both of them at various points this season have gone, pooh.
So that would be a big one for St. Bonaventure. You and I were riding the Bonnies hard in November, and they have largely disappointed. But if they get in,
look out.
They could be a very, very difficult out for some teams.
And will probably be in a play-in game. Not exactly who you want to face in a play-in. I'm curious he's only got one from the Valley. Like if Illinois-Chicago gets to the final and loses, because everybody has Illinois-Chicago in. So to me, that's one of those, can the Valley get 2 if they make it, if the Ramblers there make it to the final and lose to any one of 3 teams? And that's what I'm curious about. Northern Iowa, Drake, I mean, you name it.
He has them as an 11, 1 bid only.
Right.
Don't get in otherwise.
Right.
So that will be fascinating. But man, it's going to be at VCU and St. Bonaventure playing one another tonight. Michigan plays Michigan State tonight. Huge game for the Wolverines if they want to get in. They're 4.5-point favorite in that one. North Carolina had a nice win last night. I mean, all of these teams, Florida on the road at Vandy, they cannot lose that game. They're done.
I will say he's harder on Florida than most bracketology guys out there. I mean, he's got them in next 4 out. I mean, he's got them 6 teams out of the tournament right now. They did beat Auburn a week and a half ago. They finish with Kentucky. They need to beat Vandy tonight. What does that get them? Does that get them to 20?
They can't lose tonight. I mean, that's basically what it boils down. They're a pick'em game on the road. Go win.
I mean, I will say they've got that early season neutral court win against Ohio State.
Yep.
And then they beat Auburn at home. I mean, that's really what they're hanging their hat on here. They lost at home to Arkansas.
18-11. They split and lose the first game of the SEC. They're not at 20, and they're out.
No, I think if that happens, they're out. What I'm curious about is split this week, so they enter the SEC tournament at 19-12. If they split in the SEC tournament,
I think it would be depending on who they draw in the first round. Because I don't think necessarily just a win would be enough against a bad SEC team.
Well,
the SEC is a pretty quality conference, so the odds are they wouldn't get that.
No, the first win would not get them in, so to speak. If you have them out, the first win doesn't get you in. But there are some who have Florida in their last 4 in line.
It is going to make the first week of big boy conference play interesting. I mean, Michigan, North Carolina, Indiana, Miami, Wake Forest, all teams that have damage still to do if they're going to get in. And then on the outline, you've got Rutgers sitting there. You've got Oregon sitting there. You got Florida and Va Tech. So all teams, even South Carolina from the SEC, is a team that's not considered dead yet. Really close.
By the way, Shelby in his play-in games, because there's 4 play-in games, 2 of them are 16 seeds going at each other. So you've got 4 big boy potential teams or mid-majors playing one another. Mark, 3 of the 4 are Indiana, North Carolina, and Michigan.
Right. He has Indiana and North Carolina playing one another in a play-in game.
I got to admit, Turner would take that sucker right now.
All day long. Are you kidding me?
That's 9 o'clock Tuesday or Wednesday right there.
And that's what they'd want it. They don't need both these teams playing a VCU. Let them go head-to-head on Tuesday, and we'll put that in prime time. You're darn right.
They'd have Michigan in the other 9 o'clock game, and then Indiana, North Carolina. Man, tell you what, that would might get a few people to watch the play-in who don't normally. Miller and Moulton. Hey, we've had a good first 3 hours. Hope you caught it. Had a lot of fun with Fat Tuesday. But, now it's the bonus hour. Check it out online. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great rest of your Fat Tuesday. Miller and Moulton.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Pushing the buttons. I'm pushing the buttons. Hey, did you guys get a chance to read my article that I posted on the website? I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on that.
Were you talking to me?
Oh, I was talking to the Twitch chat,
Okay.
but also you maybe.
No.
Have you had an opportunity to read the article I posted on the website?
No.
Hmm.
Nope. I hate to break it to you, but get used to that answer.
I understand, but it's a list, and I want to see
Exactly.
your reaction on the list. Have you, David?
What was the question?
I
I didn't have my headsets on.
Oh.
Did
He
you?
wants to know if you read his article on our website.
That's funny.
That's what I thought.
It's a list, and I was wondering what your thoughts were
No.
on it.
No.
You know, I've got you for 4 hours every morning, right?
Yeah.
That's plenty.
Oh, come on.
Here's the best thing. So I wrote 10 years worth of columns locally. And for a long time, I was writing 3 columns a week. So,
You know, in the newspaper, he wrote columns, not on a website,
and so
for money.
people would come up to him and go, "Hey, man, did you see Moulton's column?" And Mark would go, "I got to do 20 effing hours of radio with this guy a week, and you want me on the weekends to read his column?"
My dad would look at me and goes, "You read Moulton's column? Are you out of your mind, Dad?"
Wait a minute. So
Every
on,
once in a while, my dad would go read it. It's pretty good.
on nights, and he would go, "So when I get home from work after just spending 4 hours with that Yahoo, you want me to read what he's writing? And then on my Sundays?"
Okay.
Came in, he told me that one time. I had to pick me up off the floor. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, I don't blame you. Hell, I don't read it.
I see now. But the topic, I'll just say the topic. My all-time.
It was the NBA, of which you know drives me bat blank crazy.
Yes, but
was
it's
your
but it's
all-time
history.
list of whatever point guards you like and whatever
No.
shooting guards you like.
Yes.
Who gives a flying blank?
my
First off, you're 21 years old. How important could your list be?
It's just my opinion.
Exactly. Of which I don't know. No offense here, Felipe.
Don't care.
But I don't care about your opinion about basketball. I really don't. I like you a lot. I really do. I think very highly of you.
It's just content, okay?
Exactly. How many articles have I posted on there?
But it's also my my genuine thoughts.
Okay. Do another article. I'll read that one.
He's lying.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's cap.
I almost think about writing an article every once in a while, and then I go, why?
I did last night, actually. I said, and then I'll go to bed.
Write articles for school as it is.
Right.
I can't. They're not allowing me to do these type. I was supposed to write articles about sports and about
Why?
Florida team. That's because what the website's about.
Oh, I totally disagree.
Have you not listened to any of the
I
meetings
have.
we have?
I
where
have.
They tell me to write articles
I-
about Florida sports.
Agree.
Like Florida sports.
I know. I'm agreeing with you.
We're coming
They're
back.
wrong. You're right. You sent them a Punkies and Pierogies article.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this Fat Tuesday, which is not just any other Tuesday for Miller and Moulton. The Florida Sports Network, thanks so much for being with us. Since we're in the local hour, we'll do a local interview. Michael Fly, head coach of FGCU men's basketball. They begin the ASUN playoffs tonight at home. They're on a roll. They've won 7 of 8. We'll talk to the coach coming up in about 20 minutes.
And I beg of everybody right now, go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Our producer wrote an article of which he has a list. And he really, 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 really wants everyone to read it and then give their thoughts and opinions on it. So please, if you could today, go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Read Felipe's article about the NBA. I have no idea what it's about because I can trust me. I didn't read it. I'm not going to read it. But he would very much like you to read it. And when you do, text the show, tweet the show, text Philly, tweet Philly, go to our Facebook page, go to our Twitch page, go anywhere you want. And please, 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 I beg of you to give us your thoughts on Felipe's NBA list article that he posted on the floridasportsnetwork.com.
But only do that after you follow us on Twitch, because then that'll make Mark happy.
No, it would make me happy to see a whole list of texts about that article.
So ungenuine.
Yeah, I'd say on the 1 to 10 disingenuous scale, it's about a 34. Yeah. But hey,
You two don't know me. I really want everybody to read that article.
Florida Sports
I'm going
Network.
to email it to everybody I know today.
.com. Don't email it to me. I got enough stuff to read.
I don't email you anything anymore because I know it's not going to get read.
Well, that's because you send it to the one site I don't read.
I sent it to one or two. I can send it to the david@millerandmoulton.com that you don't read.
Oh, please. I don't even use that at all. I don't even know how to get on that site anymore.
Which honks me off because it came up for renewal and David's like, you really need to renew that email address for me. Okay.
Did I really say that? That's my bad.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Sorry.
They're not free.
All right. Well,
I mean, it's paid for out of our account.
I understand. Well, next time, take it out of my half. Okay, that's a my bad right there. I should have to pay for that.
Or you can send it to dmoulton@floridasportsnetwork.com, which he doesn't read that one either.
Well, I read it, just not every day. All right. Not every day.
But whatever that email address is with the 770 on it, that one from 47 years ago, he'll read that.
Hey, that's like Coach Fly. He still got his cell phone number from when he was, in Kentucky, for goodness sakes. So, yeah, you do what you got to do.
Most people don't keep their first cell. I mean,
right.
We did get to that point when you switch companies, you had to switch numbers. And that was a big pain.
You sure darn right it was.
And then finally you got to keep your number.
Yeah.
Which was kind of important.
Yeah. It's the only one people know. So, no, I need to keep this. I want people to get a hold of me. It's why I have a phone.
But remember, FloridaSportsNetwork.com.
Hey, Ugly Bag of Water in our Twitch chat room said, just read the article. It definitely is a list of NBA players. You think? You think? When it's a list of hockey players, let me know. Now I'm interested. Then I'll read it.
Either Miller or Moulton will do their big NHL trade deadline piece coming up shortly.
Don't laugh. It's a trade deadline. We'll cover it. Hey, I'm angry at myself that we missed the USFL draft. You know how I am with drafts and trade deadlines. We missed one. Damn.
We did.
Damn. So they negotiated till 2:30 in the morning, which is a good sign. They started at 10 a.m. I mean, those guys, they put in a legitimate work day and night last night. All right. I mean, if they hadn't mailed in so many damn half days, I'd actually want to give them overtime. But I mean, they had to order out for pizza and everything. I mean, they were there a while.
In fact, it went so long into the night, they may have had to use DoorDash or Uber Eats to get their dinners.
Right. And I don't know how they got through the gate with everything locked. But so they're going at it again late this morning. I think they're scheduled to start meeting. I mean, the deadline's been moved 17 hours. Got moved from midnight last night to 5 o'clock this afternoon. Right now, the threat is if no deal by 5 o'clock, then opening day and likely the first week of the season will be canceled. There seems, although, we had a guest on this show who said, I don't think they're as close as is being reported.
Yeah, I flip-flopped, and I don't like to do that. I thought yesterday was going to go badly because every day had gone badly prior to yesterday. Yesterday, they went deep into the morning. They extended the deadline. That leads me to believe they can get something done today. But Ryan Spaeder, who joined us on the show in the 7 o'clock hour, says, don't believe everything you're reading about this. He thinks the sides are much further apart than's being reported by the folks that are reporting on it.
He also thinks that deep down the owners don't want to play in April, that they actually want to start the season May 1st. That, yes, they'd lose money, but it's not nearly the money that you'd think for April. Because from an attendance standpoint, outside of opening day, 2/3 of the league doesn't do all that well. That's the month to lose games. And the owners are protecting money, future money. And that this last step he sees as hardline negotiations from the owners. I do believe there will be a deal because I think the players will cave. I really do. Ever since the strike, the players are the only, until Rob Manfred said what he said 2+ weeks ago at a press conference. The owners and Major League Baseball have never out loud talked about how damaging it would be if we have a work stoppage. The players are the ones for 20 years, Mark, who have talked about how we can't go down that road again.
And Manfred called it devastating earlier in the month of February if they miss any games at all. Now, they can push the deadline back. They've got the week.
I think so.
To get a deal done to play by opening day. They do.
I think so. Now, the reason for those, it's basic math. There was 3 weeks, I believe, to get ready for the last time that, I don't know if it was the 2020 pandemic year or what have you. And the thought was it wasn't enough time for the pitchers, that the pitchers need 4 weeks, not 3. Well, the season's supposed to start 4 weeks from Thursday. So it's simple math. It's like, hey, we got to get this deal done. What I think is going to be crazy, which is no one is talking about, is let's just say they get a deal done today. Do you know how many free agents are out there? I mean, teams don't just have a need. Teams have needs with hundreds of players that are not under contract. And so it's going to be like, hey, you got 48 hours to get to Florida and Arizona, and then we're going to train for 3 to 5 days, and then we got to start playing games again. And meanwhile,
And this will really honk the players off more because they'll do what they did last year. And they'll sit on their hands and not sign anybody and try to cheap out with all these free agents. I mean,
Absolutely.
This is really what got the players so up in arms the last couple of years, is that there are hundreds of free agents sitting on the sidelines, and the teams are saying, yeah, that's great, but I'm not spending money on you.
Right. The Major League Baseball owners are watching the NFL and going, oh, wow, they're the one-year contracts with the veteran players, huh? At less than what they were making the year before. What a novel concept. So I can get you to come in here this year and play for 3.5 when last year you played for 4.5. All I have to do is basically drag this sucker out to about the second week of March. Huh. Funny how that works.
And what choice does the player have at that point? Not play or get paid. So I don't see that. I don't see that as a big problem for the owners.
Right. It's a huge problem for the players.
It's a huge problem for the players again, because no matter what they get and think that they've won in these negotiations, the owners still aren't going to spend the money on the free agents in the coming weeks.
You know, the one thing that I do believe, like, there are some huge free agents out there. Carlos Correa, Freddie Freeman, big money guys. Because we're now into March, I don't think these guys are going to be deliberate. Like, I think Freddie Freeman may leave the Braves in an hour and a half once business is allowed to be done again. I think guys are going to be like, okay, need to make a decision. What's your best offer? And the Braves, in Freeman's case, are reportedly only offering 5 years. And the thought is the Yankees or Dodgers will offer 6. And, okay, there you go. Boom, got to go. Spring training's already underway. I got to get ready for this year. Now, maybe not. Maybe not. But we still have quite an off season to get done. And it's March.
Which is part of the owner's whole plan of the lockout. They didn't have to have the lockout. This lockout benefits them on 2 fronts. It's backing the players into a corner right now, trying to get them to not lose games because the owners seemingly don't care. I mean, there's not anybody reporting on the sport right now that thinks the owners give a damn about playing April baseball.
Correct.
Whether they do or not's irrelevant. But we all are now of the consensus that the owners don't care. If it gets done, great. If it doesn't, whatever.
Whatever. We're good.
So they're going to win that part. They're going to win the free agent part on the back end. So whatever happens in the middle, how much do you think these owners are really going to lose?
It's another reason why I think the players cave. I think the players realize from a calendar standpoint, the owners got us.
Again,
They dragged this sucker out. They got us. There's nothing we can do. They locked us out. They locked us out. Those blankety blanks. That's what I think the players are saying. And they are just going to get at 4:15 today. They're going to look at one another and go, what's the best deal on the table? Okay. And then they're going to decide whether or not they're going to take the best deal that allows 12 teams to be in the playoffs, or they're going to take the best deal that allows 14 teams to get in the playoffs. One thing that was said earlier in the show was that 2 years ago, the 2020, the 60-game season, and we had 16 teams in the playoff. Remember the Marlins won the first-round series? They beat the Cubs before they got beat by the Braves. And that was the year that the Rays went to the World Series. Did you have a problem with 16 teams being in the baseball playoffs that year?
I did not, no.
Do you think it's because it was a 60-game season and you're like, well, this isn't a normal year? So
Yes, this is your two halves type philosophy. Had to do something. This is the strike year, 2 halves. What do we got to do?
Miller and Moulton. Michael Fly, FGCU men's basketball coach. The playoffs begin tonight. The Eagles enter it on a roll. He will join us coming up. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when.
And do not forget, FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Go, read, be educated.
I don't know if that's the site to be educated on, but all right, got to start somewhere. Miller and Moulton.
Viewers by the tens coming right now.
On the aforementioned Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah.
And I'm paying for it.
And I'm looking for stuff.
Correct.
And can't find it. How can that be?
Right. When I'm searching National Hockey League, I should get 6.
It should all be right there.
They should look at the post.
Yeah.
Now, what if I posted on Fat Tuesday greatest fat guys in sports?
See, I think that's fine. I think that's great. I think Mark should be allowed to, and he's going. I'm gonna beat him about the head and chest, so he just writes the stuff he wants to write about. And if they don't want to put it on the site, then he can stop writing.
You see, now you're talking. We're getting some life in the Twitch chat over that. Chamberlain over Russell. I guess you wanted controversy. Look, I'm not saying that Bill Russell wouldn't be able to play in today's NBA, because I think he would, but I think that Wilt would be better in today's NBA.
How do you say it will get worse for them? Like, this deal technically is going to be a win for the players because they're getting more in every single category than what they had.
Right, Spitz. It's about the championships. I get it.
Really? You want us to look up a high school basketball championship?
That would put Kobe over Jordan. What about Jordan's national championship games in UNC?
Well, that's not a PIAA championship.
Oh, right. Sorry. Whoops.
I actually covered those in Hershey.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
I think Bartolo Colon's got to be in that list as well for fat guys.
Well, Randy, there's no doubt Major League Baseball, much like the NFL, they've gotten smarter. The owners have.
Now, Mark, Fat Tuesday, fat guy post. Best fat guys in sports.
Jared Lorenzen, J-Load. Yes.
He's dead, isn't he?
He is.
By the way, I don't know if I gotta find it. Albums. There's like 2 big albums released today: Dark Side of the Moon and Rush's first album.
Oh, I missed. I have Dark Side of the Moon. I didn't have Rush.
Hefty lefty.
And I do have Jim Morrison exposing himself.
Miami. Played
Yep.
at the Miami.
Dinner Key Auditorium is what I have.
All right. Oh, yeah. I'd say Barkley.
Hang on.
Okay. Funny, he wasn't a fat player till really late in his career, though.
You're right. Coconut Grove Old Dinner Key Auditorium. That's fantastic.
I wonder if that's what they call the Gleason Auditorium now.
We're going to find out.
So Melissa Etheridge at it. It was an intimate place. It was awesome.
Nope. It's
No.
the Coconut Grove Expo Center now.
Oh.
Coconut Grove Convention Center.
Coach Fly is on hold, and we're back in 10. Keep commenting, fat guys.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Approaching 21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when final thoughts, all coming up in roughly 20 minutes. Chance to catch up with the men's basketball coach at FGCU, Michael Fly. 20-win regular season. They've won 7 of 8 heading into the playoffs. They start from scratch at 7 o'clock tonight at home against North Alabama. Coach, David and Mark, how are you?
Doing pretty good, fellas. Drinking a little coffee, watching a little film.
Well, you played these guys already. You whooped up on them pretty good, but they got you pretty good last year in the ASUN playoffs. Your thoughts on North Alabama tonight?
Yeah, Coach Pujol's done a really good job with that program. You know, they were transitioning a couple of years ago from Division II to Division I. Still not eligible for the NCAA tournament, but that did not stop them from making a run to the title game last year, in which they ended our season, unfortunately. So we've got a lot of respect for their program. He is a hard-nosed, tough coach. They try to pick you up full court, try to really just get to the front of the rim. It's a physical fight every time you play those guys. So it's similar. We played really well against them last year in the regular season. Unfortunately, they beat us in the tournament. So, you know, we don't let too much carry over, but there's some guys in this program that I think remember that day and were quite frustrated with the result last year in the tournament.
Coach, if I've got this right, this is a pretty good little string that you've run along, 7 of your last 8 since the start of February. Why? What happened for the turnaround? Because it looks as if right now your team's playing its best basketball.
Yeah, you know, we've played pretty consistently well throughout the season. We just had a couple of nights where either shots just didn't fall, or there was a few games where early in the conference season we got up on people 8-9 points and took our foot off the gas a little bit. And so we've changed a few things rotationally. We started to put more of an emphasis on defense and rebounding and length and athleticism. And earlier in the year, we were really outscoring people, you know, shooting a ton of threes and shooting the ball at a really high clip. So part of that, you know, especially when you bring in as many transfers as we did, is just figuring your team out, figuring out rotation. So we've got a pretty set rotation we're comfortable with now. We've got a good feel, I think, for who plays well together. So, you know, you want to be playing your best basketball at this time of the year. And knock on wood, you know, in the month of February, we had a pretty good month. So we'd love to have a good March as well, guys.
Well, one of those transfers, Tavian Dunn-Martin, who came in from Duquesne, where he averaged 10 points a game, and he went for 21 points and 6 assists on average every game this year. A couple of games lately, 38 and 43, both of them school records. He's 5'8", Coach. I mean, you ever have a 5'8" guy like this who can just flat dominate?
First of all, you're being very generous at 5'8". I'm sure Tavian will take that. Yeah, he is one of the most special, and I'm not just saying this coach speak. I mean, there's very few guys you coach in your career where when you call a play and they look at you and kind of give you the, hey, coach, I got it signal, you just sit back and say, do your thing, man. And that's who he is. He has got an unbelievable amount of confidence in his own ability. He never thinks there's somebody on the court better than him. I don't care who we're playing against. His shot making ability, especially in big moments, is just off the charts. And it's funny, if you watch him play, he shoots the ball a lot because we want him shooting the ball a lot. So there's sometimes, I think, a little bit of a misnomer maybe with our fans and casual observers that, that he shoots it every time he touches it. He's top 5 in the country in assists. So to have a guy that's averaging over 20 points per game, has had multiple games of either 9 made 3-pointers or over 10 assists. I've never, to be quite frank, I've not coached a guy that's this prolific in both areas as a scorer and as a passer.
You guys seemingly can score any night. What is it going to take to continue that? Because this time of year, obviously, points are at a premium. Defense gets amped up. But when you look at your success this year, it's obvious it's when the offense is going and going well. How do you ensure that keeps going on in March, Coach?
Well, what I try to tell our guys and what we try to preach, and we tried preaching this early in the year, and I'm not sure they totally believed it. People think that good offense has to do with what plays you run and how many shooters you have on the court. And that's true to some extent, but I'm a big believer in good offense starts on the defensive end. And if you look, we're one of the better transition teams in the country. That's because our best offense is getting defensive stops and running and scoring before the other team can get their defense set. And I thought against Liberty, against Jacksonville, and some of our wins recently, we keep a stat called kills, which means you're getting 3 straight stops, right? And if you get 3 straight stops, which we call a kill, 8 times in a game, mathematically, it's very hard to lose the game. So we've been averaging about 8.5 kills per game, which has led to transition opportunities, which now you get, 15, 20 points in transition. Now it becomes easier to score in the half court. So I just think we have to stay locked in on defense, rebounding, and then getting out and running in transition.
He's Michael Fly, men's basketball coach at FGCU. They just finished a 20-win regular season. They begin the ASUN playoffs tonight at home against North Alabama. Likely their last home game of the year because of the way the ASUN has reconfigured their playoffs. And not only that, FGCU will have to play 4 games to win the conference tournament this year as opposed to 3 in past years. First off, do you like the new format with buys and what have you? And now instead of 3 games in 5 or 6 days, it's potentially 4 games in like 8 days. Your thoughts on the new playoffs?
Yeah, I do like the new format. I think the teams that perform in the regular season should be rewarded. Unfortunately, we were 1 buzzer beater 3 away from having to buy ourselves this year. So I think that's a smart way to do it, a fair way to do it. In terms of the 4 games instead of 3, that's just part of having a much bigger league. For years and years, we were 8 teams, 9 teams, and so it was 3 games. And, you can get hot for a game or 2, and then all of a sudden you're in the title game. And in a lot of leagues, that's what you have to do. It's a journey to get to that championship game. So I think it's going to be a hard road for anybody. I think this is probably the most competitive top to bottom the league has been in my 11 years. I think there's 5 or 6 teams that could get hot and win it just based on talent and based on playing against those guys. So it's going to be a wild run. We just want to make sure that we're part of that race for as long as possible.
Coach, thanks for making time for us. Appreciate it. Good luck tonight.
Thanks so much, fellas.
Michael Fly, men's basketball coach at FGCU. If the Eagles, and listen, they're, I think, as talented as any team in the league. And I believe what he said was not coach speak. He's right. This is the deepest that the league's been in all the years that FGC has been in it. Now, there have been maybe 1 or 2 seeds in the recent past, I think are better than the top 5 teams in the league this year.
FGCU team made the run. Mercer beat a Duke team. There have been some good ASUN teams. And literally, David and I had this conversation sometime in the 8 o'clock hour in which I looked at right before we had Shelby Mast on. I said, Liberty's really a 15? And he said, probably conference. He said, but this conference is as deep as it's ever been.
And instead of like in the recent past, because Liberty's won the title the last 3 years. And if you take a look at their records, with the exception for the pandemic year when they didn't play a full complement of games, but they have oftentimes entered the tournament 24, 25, 27 wins and only 4 or 5 or 6 losses. They have 10 losses this year. and they're considered the best team in the league. I don't know if they are, but they're considered it until proven otherwise. But this FGCU team's as talented as any team in the league. The road, though, Mark, they will literally have to play 4 games on 4 different courts.
Of which 3 of the teams are as good, if not better than them.
Correct.
Starting, not tonight, but starting with their next game, which will be Bellarmine more than likely, right? They have a bye.
Right.
So that's who they would play. So
yes,
it's as tough as a road. It's going to be on the road, having to win 3 games against quality opponents.
And that's if they can win tonight against North Alabama. They drubbed them a month or so ago here by 32. If they play a good game, they're better. They should win.
I love a good drubbing.
Nothing wrong with a drubbing.
They could use one.
Especially if you're going to have to play as many games as potentially, they think they're going to play. But they've won 7 of 8. They're playing really well. They're good. And they do have one player in particular who literally can win you a game by himself. Liberty's got a guy like that who came to FGCU earlier in the regular season and scored 47. And Liberty won by 3. Well, Dunmartin returns the favor at Liberty, scores 43. They win in overtime. I mean, there's some talent in this league this year. This is, I joked, I talked to Andy Enfield recently, and he asked, hey, how are they doing, that sort of deal? And I said, Andy, don't take this the wrong way. This ain't Andy's A-Sun. All right. You had 2 good teams when you played in the A-Sun. There's 5 this year.
About to be 4 next year because Liberty's leaving the conference.
And so is Jacksonville State. The 2 1 seeds.
Oh, they're both leaving.
Are
That's
leaving.
Right.
The 2 1 seeds are leaving in this year's tournament. So, yeah, in theory, the league could get easier for FGCU going forward. But it's as tough as it's ever been this year.
7 bells tonight?
7 bells. Yep.
Plenty of good seats still available. I can guarantee you that.
I think that's a fair assessment. It's been that way for every game not called USC. And then the women's tournament starts at home on Sunday because they have a first-round bye. And needless to say, they'll host all the games. So there you have it. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Final thoughts. It's all coming up next. Thanks so much for listening, Florida Sports Network.
Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did we ever do the number for yesterday on Twitch?
73. I wish, why do you have to hit somebody? Why do you have to hit a woman? The story's going along just well. I don't ever like to do stories where women get, I don't find it funny.
Works for me.
The guy went nuts in the airport. Funny. hit a woman. Just doesn't, kind of ruins it.
Morning.
Oh, good. I got a lot of Felipe comments here.
Uh-oh. Something's going on right now. I don't know. A whole bunch of gamers have gotten on. You guys could ride this out with us for another 20 plus minutes. That'd be great. I know.
That's fine.
Helps our numbers. You can invade us.
Knock yourself out.
Invade
Give
us.
us a follow.
I was going to say. Invade us at 7 a.m.
Hello?
Nothing wrong with gamers with a sports passion.
Yep, they're good. Thank you. I love it.
I will say, JB's, at first look, I thought you were Javi Baez. For what, though, Albar? You won't tell us. For what? What is the ribbon cutting for? I mean, the answer is no. We don't work for them. But thank you, Lominati. That was very nice of you.
Love the follows. The best. This is what I'm talking about. Get a couple of these every day in the commercial breaks. We'll be rocking.
Yeah.
And if you can, go to our website and read Felipe's article.
Oh, man. The head might get too big. Tell you what, though, Felipe, you got to remember, though, people start reading your stuff. They're going to comment on it, and you may not like it.
I don't care. I don't care.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
All right.
I don't care. That's the point, for you to comment, to interact.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
21-year-old.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
You couldn't handle the hate mail I've gotten in my life.
Oh
gonna
my
say.
God. I will accept all of the hate mail.
Yeah.
Sure. Till you get it.
I live off hate.
No, you don't.
I was going to say.
You don't like it when I chastise you. You
I
sat
actually
there.
love it.
You actually sat there and like someone kicked your dog
I
for the
actually
last
love
20.
it.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Because it's hilarious. It's so funny. We're coming back now.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
We've had a very upbeat show today. It's Fat Tuesday. Mark Miller believes this is when the concept of Miller and Moulton was born. It was in his mind, I will tell you that.
Yeah, apparently it was born in your mind long before then.
Yeah.
Before either of us ever worked in radio.
Yep. Well, I was working in radio here in Southwest Florida. My first show was in April of 2000. So, I mean, I was in town. It took about 5 months to get on the radio station in this building. And so when we were having beers after Blades games and all that, so I had sports radio, on my mind. You obviously didn't. You were doing the hockey thing and televising games and that sort of deal. But I remember thinking to myself, we could do a show together.
Yeah, I like this guy, and I don't agree with a damn thing he
Not
says.
right. the only thing I can agree with is that the Blades played tonight. Otherwise, he's full of it. Right. This would be fun.
Well played.
So, but yeah, in Mark's mind, on Fat Tuesday in 2006, he crashed the show. I was on location at the Pinchers in Bonita, I believe. And you came in the studio here and sat down at the mic. And we started talking about fat athletes on Fat Tuesday. Did an hour. It was fun.
It was fun.
And so at that moment, Mark's like, we could do this. And 2 months later, we decided, you know what? Instead of you doing your thing, me doing my thing, why don't we try to do our thing? And, we've been fired twice and working on number 3. Time now for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
Too soon?
No.
Okay. Mark, I'm going back 330 years to 1692. The Salem witch trials got underway on this day, March 1st, 1692. Do you know, Mark, they accused over 200 faced trial. 30 were found guilty. 19 of the 30 were executed. Most of them were hung. The Salem witch trials in Salem, Mass, 330 years ago today.
It would actually be hanged in that situation for grammar reasons.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Hey, he's writing now.
Right.
So
I'm bypassing what's in my head right now. I think it's better for everybody.
okay. Well, since we're going way back, let's go back 241 years. The Articles of Confederation were adopted on this day in 1781. That's a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. That was our first Constitution. The reason they were adopted, Maryland was the holdout. They were the 13th state. They finally said yes.
Trying to get in the Big Ten back then.
Well, they're trying to get in the Big 13 is what they were getting into, whether they knew it or not. Hey, happy birthday, Ohio. Ohio's 219 years old today.
OH? Oh, no.
Ohio became the 17th state on this date in 1803. By the way, don't say that President Tyler never did anything. John Tyler, on this day in 1845, annexed the Republic of Texas. You want to know why they think they're their own country? They were once the Republic of Texas. We annexed them on this day 177 years ago.
Annex is a lot better than a coup.
Right. Does that mean you persuaded them? So it was on this day that, I kid you not, most of Nebraska became our 37th state. They actually added on to the state afterwards. So Nebraska, like Ohio, celebrates a birthday today. Nebraska is 155 years old.
I'll take Ohio close.
The world's first national park is 150 years old today, Yellowstone, in 1872. It was 119 years ago in 1903, Major League Baseball decides that a pitcher's mound was never to be taller than 15 inches high. Now, they reduced it to 10 for the longest time, moved it back up to 15 in 1967, 8? Anyway, whatever year Gibson had the 1.12 ERA.
I thought it was 8, but I'm not going to argue.
And then they went back down the rest of the way. 90 years ago today, the Lindbergh kidnapping. The 20-month-old son of Charles and Ann Lindbergh was kidnapped. Tragically, the boy was found dead 9 weeks later. It was on this day in 1941 the cartoon Captain America was first published. And Elmer Layden was named the first commissioner of the NFL. Never heard of him.
No.
Elmer.
Tough name.
It is. Talk about bullying.
Right.
Yeah. And that was back, pre-depression
Exactly.
even when he was growing up. Mark, it was on this day, 75 years ago, Bill Veeck sets up spring training in Phoenix, Arizona. They were racially tolerant. It's 1947. He knows he's going to be signing some black ball players in 1947. Jackie Robinson breaks the color barrier 6 weeks later, but Bill Veeck in the summer, I believe it was July, signs Larry Doby as the first black player in the American League. He knew he was going to do it. It's why he moved his spring training to Arizona, and obviously quite a few teams followed later on. So on this day in 49, Joe Louis retired. His record was 66-3 with 52 knockouts. He had 25 successful title defense fights. It was on this day in 53, Stalin suffers a stroke. He would die 4 days later. I'm not joking. He pulled an all-nighter. For whatever reason, him and his, inner circle, what have you, they were up late. He suffered a stroke, died 4 years later. The Peace Corps is 61 years old. President Kennedy established the Peace Corps on this day in 61. Mark, the Major League Baseball writers 55 years ago today in 67 decided there needs to be a Cy Young Award for both leagues. So when you hear that Koufax won the 3 or 4 Cy Youngs that he won, yeah, that's best pitcher in baseball. That's not National League Cy Young, American League. Literally after he retired, they changed the rules. Did you ever hear the story 68? Remember the Flyers expansion year?
Right.
The roof of the Spectrum blew off?
Believe it or not, just because of this silly thing that we do here. That's where I've heard of it.
And the Flyers had to play the last month of the season in 68 on the road in Toronto, New York City, and Quebec. I'd never heard that before. Jim Morrison, 1969, allegedly exposes himself on stage.
Oh, in Miami Beach.
At the Dinner Key Auditorium. And on the same day, Mickey Mantle retired. March 1st, 1969. Switch hitter, 536 home runs, a 298 lifetime batting average. He would later say...
Never heard of Morrison being a switch hitter.
Later say, I wish I had retired 2 years earlier. I was a 300 hitter, and it bothers me being a 298. Mark, 49 years ago today, I think that's the right math. Pink Floyd releases Dark Side of the Moon.
Yes.
1973. 29 years ago today, in 1993, George Steinbrenner reinstated as owner of the Yankees on the same day that Anaheim named their hockey team the Mighty Ducks. Lenny Wilkens in 1996 was the first NBA coach to get to 1,000 wins. It was the same day that 888 was established as a toll-free number. And Mark, 25 years ago today, Hector Camacho knocks out Sugar Ray Leonard in the 5th round. It was the only knockout that Sugar Ray suffered in his career. He had a couple technical knockouts, only knockout of his career, and that was his last fight. Harry Carey would have been 108 today. Pete Rozelle would have been 96 today. Robert Conrad.
I dare you to knock this off my shoulder.
I dare you. Would have been 87 today. He died a couple years ago. NASCAR driver Dave Marcus is 81. Hall of Famer Elvin Bethea is 76. Hollywood Henderson is 69. Heisman Trophy winner Mike Rozier is 61. Ron Francis, GM of the Kraken, is 59. Chris Webber is 49. Will Power, IndyCar driver, won the Indy 500, is 41. Tyreek Hill is 28. Jamar Chase is 22. Roger Daltrey, we want to go a little entertainment. He's 78. Harry Belafonte is 95. Justin Bieber is 28. Keisha is 35. Opie, Ron Howard, is 68. Booker T, the wrestler, is 57. And that's today was the day.
Couple of quick errors and omissions. It was today in 1974 that Rush released their self-titled album before Neil Peart, their drummer, had joined the band. But Working Man was the big song off of that. It was picked up by WMMS in Cleveland making Rush pretty much the band that they are today. Nirvana played their last gig ever in 94, and drummer Bill Berry from REM collapsed with a brain aneurysm on stage today in Switzerland in 95. If he wasn't maybe in Switzerland close enough to the hospital he was at, would have never made it.
That's a hell of a day in music history right there.
It really is.
Throw in a little Jim Morrison.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Cape Coral for the good, where a 15-year-old tiny poodle from Norfolk, Virginia, who has been missing for 2 years, was found by animal control in Cape Coral. And after the 2-year hiatus, is going to be reunited with his family. So, Snowball, congratulations, you're going home. For the bad, we go to San Diego, where $3 million of meth was found hidden in a shipment of onions in San Diego. That made somebody cry. And finally, the ugly. We go to Wadham County, Washington, where a driver of an SUV was arrested on suspicion of DUI after hitting a police vehicle with his SUV. You never want to run into the cop car when you've been drinking.
Right.
It's never good to do sober, but it's even worse to do when drinking. Fortunately, the officer and the driver only suffered minor injuries, and the officer was home and recovering. The driver is in jail and recovering. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, March 1st, 2022.
Of course, you know, part of the reason why you ran into the cop was because you were drinking, right?
Oh, yes.
Right. Let's see. What do we have tonight? College hoops. I mean, it's
Lots.
It's not a game involving ranked teams, but Michigan State tonight's a big game.
For Michigan.
Are you sure, by the way, if Michigan State loses out, are you sure they're in?
I think after they beat Purdue, they're in.
That got them in?
I think that got them in.
Right. But we've got 2 top 10, top 11 teams. Your favorite game, Mark, the 6:30 FS1 game. Providence at Villanova. Providence has already clinched the Big East regular season title. Both playing for seeding in the NCAA tournament at this point. Purdue, Wisconsin, a battle of top 10 teams. Purdue a 3-point favorite on the road? Ooh.
Yeah, at Wisconsin?
I think I'm taking the points.
I'm with you, by the way.
And Arizona's a 4.5-point favorite at USC. Andy Enfield's Trojans are playing well. I like them. I like them to win straight up tonight. 11 o'clock on the 4-letter network. Arizona's a 4.5-point favorite. Give me the points and the money line.
Handful of games in the association tonight. None of the Florida teams are in action. Atlanta on the road in Boston. Brooklyn on the road in Toronto. Golden State at Minnesota. The Mavs are laying 5.5, playing the Lakers in L.A.
Lightning in action tonight. They're home for Ottawa. You know, otherwise, little this, little that. Nothing really great.
Calgary and Minnesota, pretty good game.
I would agree with that.
If you're going to look for probably the best game of the night, Calgary and Minnesota. Those are both two good teams.
Calgary, slight favorite on the road. I don't know about that. So, I will say the East is pretty much done in the NHL. The 8 playoff teams are done. There's 10 points basically in between
Boston and Columbus, yeah.
Well, and I think now it might be Washington. Is Washington dropped down to but either way, yeah.
Right.
It's noticeable. And meanwhile, out west, it's an absolute free-for-all. A total free-for-all. There's only like 3 teams eliminated out west. So the hockey's pretty good and coming up on a trade deadline in about 3 weeks.
It will make the first round the first round of the East is going to be spectacular.
Oh, I mean, right now, wouldn't the Lightning and the Maple Leafs be a first-round playoff series?
Yes, but they're both only 1 point behind the Florida Panthers right now.
So then it could be Florida and Toronto. Yeah, this just in, if you're the Maple Leafs, you need to try really hard to win the division so that Florida and Tampa could play each other in the first round.
Yeah, we need it to be a second-round matchup for us.
I know we do.
After one of those two takes out Toronto.
Right, which they will.
And it would be really interesting if it was the Panthers, because then the Panthers would be the road team in most of those games.
Well, and
I mean,
not
even
only
the
that,
ones at home.
I mean, I think Maple Leafs Nation could handle losing to the two-time defending Cup champions, but if they actually lose a series to the Florida Panthers, I think they might just fall apart at the seams.
And they will lose the series to the Florida Panthers if they play them.
Miller and Moulton. FGCU tonight at home, 7 o'clock against North Alabama. Barring just absolute craziness, it'll be the men's last home game of the year. Last chance to see Tavian Dunmartin and Kevin Samuel. They're both fifth-year seniors.
I want to thank Ryan Spaeder, Chad Forbes, Shelby Mast, and Coach Michael Fly all joined us on the show today. If you missed any of it, go to FloridaSportsNetwork.com to see and hear anything that you missed. We'll catch you tomorrow right here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated